Chapter 26:55. Little Xingxing shouted. He did not need to think at all. He flapped his wings and wrapped Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu within, protecting them tightly. At such a critical juncture, if the God Fiend's attack affected Du Xiaofu's integration of spiritual thunder, the consequences would be unthinkable. She had just finished speaking when the God Fiend's huge demonic palm slammed down again. After a loud rumble, the huge tortoise shell trembled violently. Little Xingxing, who was inside, spat out a mouthful of blood again. His little face was pale. Huolei Laozu's body collapsed under such tremors. He could no longer maintain his human form and turned into a cluster of flames. A few lightning arcs crackled, and his aura was extremely weak. Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged, closed his eyes slightly. The lightning arcs around his body also fluctuated violently, as if they were about to shatter. However, under the protection of little Xingxing's wings, he did not suffer too much impact and continued to sit there. After being hit, the tortoise shell borrowed the force to fly away under little Xingxing's deliberate control. In an instant, it fled thousands of miles away. "Little girl, how are you?" Huolei Laozu's weak primordial spirit fluctuation came from the faintly burning thunder and fire. He asked little Xingxing. "Old ancestor, don't worry. I can still hold on," little Xingxing said. He folded his wings and the radiance on the strange dragon's body dimmed a little. "The God Fiend is too terrifying. If not for the protection of this tortoise shell left behind by the dragon god, I'm afraid that one attack from him would have turned all of us into ashes. We would have died without leaving even a trace. If he attacks again, I really won't be able to hold on," Huolei Laozu said. His tone was extremely shocked. At this moment, he had already suffered great injuries and was directly shaken back to his original body. If not for the protection of little Xingxing's tortoise shell, even the aftershock of the God Fiend's attack could kill him 100 times over without any hesitation. "Old ancestor, how much longer will it take for my father to refine the 18 bolts of spiritual thunder?" Little Xingxing asked, his eyes fixed on Du Xiaofu, who was beside him. Now, all of his hopes were placed on his father. The sooner he could refine the 18 bolts of spiritual thunder, the sooner he could get rid of the threat from the God Fiend. It should be soon. This kid since, the thunder spiritual thunder. He has the thunder with the thunder martial thunders and thunder martial veins. Thunder. Let. Is. Not only I. The let as. Tutu. Patriarch, I'll send you out first. It's safer than staying with us. No, I'll stay with you. This kid can't do without my help. Without me, how can he defeat the God Fiend? Huolei Laozu's voice was still weak, but his words were powerful and resonant. However, he could not leave at a time like this because Du Xiaofu needed his help if he wanted to defeat the God Fiend. "All right then." Little Xingxing paused for a moment but agreed in the end. However, she was very puzzled. Her father might be able to fight against the God Fiend after he had merged with the spiritual thunder. However, what does that have to do with Huolei Laozu? Given his strength as a perfected saint, he would not be of any use in a battle like this. However, little Xingxing did not ask such a question. With the passage of time, Little Star continued to fly within the boundaries of the 3 continents and Kyushu, while the Fiend Celestial closed in on it at an extremely fast speed. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu already had the cultivation of the heavenly saint realm, and he had mastered the spatial divine ability of the Vermilion Bird clan. He had narrowly avoided the attacks of the demon god many times, giving Du Xiaofu enough time to refine the 18 bolts of spiritual lightning. It's about time. Within the thunder fire, the power of Huolei Laozu's essence spirit rippled and released a ripple. His words had just left his mouth when little Xingxing saw a powerful energy fluctuation suddenly erupt from Du Xiaofu's body in front of his eyes. Rumble. Thunder rumbled as tongues of lightning shot out from Du Xiaofu's body. They were colorful and had different auras, but all of them carried the aura of destruction. The moment these lightning tongues appeared, little Xingxing's dragon body could not help but take 2 steps back, not daring to approach. Success! Within the thunder fire, Huolei Laozu cried out in surprise. It's really done. Little Xingxing was also very happy. He looked at Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, and saw him slowly open his eyes, shooting out 2 bright bolts of lightning. Little Xingxing could not help but cry out, "Old." However, he stopped abruptly before he could finish his sentence. His tone turned serious as he said, "The God Fiend is here again." Boom, another huge tremor. The attack of the demon god landed, and the entire tortoise shell seemed to be about to explode. A terrifying pressure engulfed little Xingxing and Huolei Laozu, causing the 2 of them to feel a strong sense of danger at the same time. This was especially so for Huolei Laozu. He was already extremely weak. The cluster of thunder fire instantly expanded and was about to explode in the next moment, extinguishing his life force and turning into nothingness. Crackle, at this critical moment, Huolei Laozu only felt a large amount of lightning spread out around him, enveloping his remaining life force. There was even an endless amount of lightning energy pouring into his body, rapidly nourishing him. Not only did he not turn into ashes under the attack of the demon god, he recovered quite a bit. When he recovered all his senses, he was still in the tortoise shell. However, outside the tortoise shell, there was a figure standing in the void, standing upright. Who else could that figure be other than Du Xiaofu? "Ancestor, you and little Xingxing should retreat first. Leave the rest to me." Du Xiaofu looked into the tortoise shell and said to Huolei Laozu and little Xingxing. He had already changed into a brand new purple robe at some point in time. It was stretched taut in the wind, flapping loudly. As he spoke, he waved his hand and was about to send Huolei Laozu and little Xingxing, along with the huge tortoise shell, far away, away from this area. "Wait!" Huolei Laozu shouted anxiously. A cluster of thunder fire flew out of the tortoise shell and went to Du Xiaofu's side. Then, it transformed into Huolei Laozu's chubby human form. His aura was greatly boosted, and his old eyes were also filled with the spirit of the past. Glancing at the tortoise shell behind him, Huolei Laozu said to Du Xiaofu, "Send this little girl away first. I'll stay and help you." "Okay." Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, frowned, and agreed. He did not think too much about it. Although he did not know how Huolei Laozu could help him, since he said so, he was definitely confident. "Dad, I'll leave on my own. You guys be careful." Little Xingxing glanced at Du Xiaofu, then at Huolei Laozu. She warned them, then flew away with the huge tortoise shell. She knew that she would not be of much help if she stayed. It was better to leave and let Du Xiaofu fight the god fiend alone. This would save him the trouble of being overcautious and not being able to use his full strength. After watching little Xingxing leave, Du Xiaofu also looked into the distance. The god fiend's figure was standing there. He did not attack again, but only looked at him quietly. Clearly, Du Xiaofu's recovery had surprised the god fiend. Not only the god fiend, but the living beings of the 3 continents and Kyushu were also extremely excited. The Rock Emperor has recovered. He actually recovered so quickly. 18 bolts of spiritual lightning. He refined all of them in such a short time. As expected of the Rock Emperor. Huolei Laozu is really a god. If not for him, the Rock Emperor would have fallen in the God Fiend's hands. I wonder if the Rock Emperor can defeat the God Fiend this time. The Rock Emperor. The Rock Emperor. Countless living beings discussed. Then, an earth-shattering roar erupted. Almost everyone was shouting the Rock Emperor's name, causing the whole world to shake. However, the people of the devil religion were all filled with hatred. They looked at Huolei Laozu with intense anger. Old fart, you're causing trouble for the devil religion. With 18 bolts of spiritual lightning, Du Xiaofu has recovered so quickly. The God Fiend will have to go through a lot of trouble to kill him. What's the use of recovering? He's just jumping around for a while. He can't escape the fate of death in the end. Many powerful beings of the devil religion were discussing and gnashing their teeth. However, when the living beings of the three continents and Kyushu saw their expressions, they were indescribably happy. However, while many people with extraordinary intelligence were excited, they also felt endless worry. The Rock Emperor has recovered. Can he really fight against the God Fiend? I hope so. Everyone's hopes are on him. But the God Fiend is too powerful. I don't know if the Rock Emperor can defeat him. Many people spoke. They seemed to be very rational and not blindly excited. Their gazes were fixed on the purple-robed figure high in the sky with intense anticipation. Opposite Du Xiaofu, the God Fiend's demonic eyes, which were like two black suns, stared at him, releasing billowing black demonic aura. So what if you've merged 18 bolts of spiritual lightning? It's still futile. It can't let you control the complete laws of lightning. Even if you've recovered in such a short time, you still can't escape the fate of death. The God Fiend spoke, his voice echoing throughout the heavens and earth. You've said similar words many times, but I'm still alive and well. The God Fiend is actually so funny. Du Xiaofu's purple robes fluttered in the wind. His words were clear and without much fluctuation. Although he said that, he knew very well that the God Fiend was speaking the truth. The 36 bolts of spiritual lightning were formed when the Du family ancestor fell. They represented the complete laws of lightning. If all of them were merged, one could surpass the Sky Sage stage and reach an even higher stage. However, with the 18 bolts of spiritual lightning and the 8 bolts of spiritual lightning that Du Xiaofu had already merged, there were only 26 bolts in total. There were still 10 bolts missing. Because of that, he was still unable to fight the God Fiend head-on. One had to know that he had reached the peak of the Sky Sage stage with the help of the Emperor's aura previously. However, he was still no match for the God Fiend. Now that he was relying on the 26 bolts of spiritual lightning, although his cultivation had recovered, he was still unable to surpass the Sky Sage stage and fight the God Fiend. Sharp-tongued brat, I hope you can still laugh in the end. The God Fiend said as a cold aura surged forth, suppressing the entire space. A ball of black gas condensed in his right palm. The power of the God Fiend was vast and mighty, releasing a terrifying aura. Brat, you're no match for the God Fiend. Don't fight him head-on. Hold him back for a while. Your disciple should be back soon. Huilei Laozu, who was beside Du Xiaofu, said hurriedly. Understood. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and nodded. He knew that Huilei Laozu was talking about Lei Tianhuang. Previously, the two of them had left together. Now that Huilei Laozu had returned with 18 bolts of spiritual lightning, there was no doubt that Lei Tianhuang had gone to look for spiritual lightning as well. If he had returned, he would have brought back spiritual lightning as well. If he could gather all 36 bolts, there was hope for him to surpass the Sky Sage stage and reach a new stage to fight the God Fiend. Due to the suppression of the heavens and earth, the demon god had only just surpassed the heavenly sage realm. After merging 36 bolts of spiritual lightning, there was hope for him to fight the God Fiend head-on. He might even be able to suppress the God Fiend like his ancestor. At the thought of this, Du Xiaofu could not help but look forward to Lei Tianhuang's early return. Du Xiaofu, prepare to die. While Du Xiaofu was deep in thought, the God Fiend opposite him had already condensed a ball of black gas in his hand and shot it at Du Xiaofu. This ball of black gas was suffused with a dim light, and its aura was ferocious. Once it shot out, it was like a black will-o'-the-wisp, dragging a long tail, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws to kill. The terrifying force was vast and mighty, and the void rumbled and shook continuously. Retreat quickly. Huilei Laozu shouted and asked Du Xiaofu to dodge. In fact, there was no need for his reminder. Du Xiaofu had already moved, and the golden rock wings behind him flapped rapidly as he retreated rapidly. The space has been sealed again. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed as he whispered softly. As the god fiend attacked, he could clearly feel that the surrounding space seemed to have solidified again. After using the first move of Fuyao, he was stuck in place, as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and could not move. Even if he could break free from this restraint, the god fiend's attack would have already arrived by then. In a hurry, large patches of lightning and thunder gathered in front of Du Xiaofu and condensed into a barrier made of lightning and thunder, which turned into a shield wall in front of him. When the ball of black gas bombarded, the entire lightning barrier suddenly exploded, shattering into dense talismans and mysterious runes that danced in the void. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the entire void trembled. The ball of black gas was also destroyed, and it returned to being an endless amount of demonic qi. Like a strong wind, it slashed horizontally and vertically, destroying everything in its path. The defense outside Du Xiaofu's body was quickly cut into countless pieces, and the violent energy finally bombarded Du Xiaofu's chest. Puff! Du Xiaofu's body flew backward, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was seriously injured again. Huolei Laozu, who was behind him, was not affected much and was still in good condition. "Kid, you can't fight him head-on. Let's stall for time first." Seeing that Du Xiaofu was injured, Huolei Laozu could not help but say hurriedly. "All right." Du Xiaofu nodded. Before the god fiend's next attack arrived, the golden rock wings on his back flapped, and he disappeared from where he was and appeared extremely far away. Trying to escape. Do you think you can escape? The god fiend's arm danced in the void, and a terrifying force swept across and spread in all directions, confining the entire space. Then, he threw a punch at Du Xiaofu's position brazenly. "Oh no!" Du Xiaofu frowned and shouted, "Oh no!" Under the pressure of the god fiend, a large area of space was confined, and it was extremely difficult to use the first move of Fuyao. "It's useless. Why are you resisting so stubbornly?" the god fiend said loudly. His arms opened like a bow, and he threw a punch straight at Du Xiaofu's position, causing the entire sky to tremble. "Break for me!" Du Xiaofu shouted and stretched out his palm. Facing the boundless void, he clenched his 5 fingers and activated the god-binding grip. Boom! The restricted space in front of him suddenly collapsed, and the purple-robed figure shot out like lightning, narrowly avoiding the god fiend's attack. Even so, the astral wind brought about by the sharp and fierce fist still brushed past his body, causing his immortal Xian body to be torn apart. Bloody wounds burst out one after another, scarlet red. The purple robe he had just changed into was also incomparably messy. "You can't escape," the god fiend said and waved his fist again, continuing to chase after Du Xiaofu. Then, a strange scene appeared in the sky. The god fiend punched down again and again, fiercely chasing after Du Xiaofu. A terrifying power spread out, and the void was sealed, causing the purple-robed youth to have no room to use the first move of Fuyao. However, his palm clenched fiercely in the void time and time again, and the restricted space collapsed again and again. Every time, he escaped from the god fiend's attack in a panic. Du Xiaofu's body was swept by the residual waves of the attack countless times, and he was already covered in wounds. "Rock Emperor, hold on. Rock Emperor, you must hold on." Countless creatures clenched their fists, and in their hearts, they were screaming for Du Xiaofu. They did not want Du Xiaofu to fight recklessly again, as long as he was alive. As long as he lived, the devil religion would not be able to truly carry out the final massacre. The hope of this world still existed. "Kid, how are you?" Under Du Xiaofu's protection, Fire Thunder Ancestor didn't suffer much damage, but he was very worried. This couldn't go on. Just as Du Xiaofu was about to answer Huolei Laozu, his primordial spirit suddenly felt a strange movement. Following that, a simple and honest voice came from afar, "Master, I'm back." Chapter 26:56. I'm finally back. Huolei Laozu was overjoyed and said excitedly. Du Xiaofu was also overjoyed. He used the god-binding grip again to escape the god-fiend's punch. He flew directly in the direction of the voice. In his eyes, there was a muscular figure coming from afar. The figure was as fast as lightning, and it was as fast as lightning. This figure was none other than the disciple that Du Xiaofu had taken in, Lei Tianhuang. Did he bring back the spiritual thunder again? Looking at the bare-chested young man in short clothes, the god-fiend who was chasing Du Xiaofu furrowed his brows. He instinctively felt that there was something unusual about the atmosphere. The aura of the honest-looking young man in short clothes was very familiar to him. His body is also a bolt of lightning. Could it be related to the heavenly Tao? Soon, the god-fiend saw through Lei Tianhuang's identity. The aura that the young man carried was exactly the same as the heavenly Tao that had suppressed him back then. Thinking of this, the god-fiend's huge and pitch-black eyes suddenly rippled with shock. In his heart, he also felt a little heavy. "Master, receive the spiritual thunder." Lei Tianhuang ran quickly. With a wave of his hand, 10 rays of colorful light shot out in the direction of Du Xiaofu. These 10 rays of light were different from the 18 spiritual thunders that Huolei Laozu had brought back. However, they all had one thing in common, and that was that they all had a strong destructive aura. Woo woo, the 10 spiritual thunders swept past. Du Xiaofu used the law of space and broke the space that was imprisoned one by one. Finally, they gathered together with the 10 spiritual thunders. Damn it! At this time, the god-fiend could no longer remain calm. He cursed loudly and his towering body traversed the void, quickly moving in the direction of Du Xiaofu. Spiritual thunder, it's actually all spiritual thunder. Another 10 bolts of spiritual lightning, making it a total of 36 bolts. As long as the Rock Emperor completes the fusion, his strength won't be much weaker than the demon gods. Great! We can have a real battle. Even if we don't kill the devil god, at the very least, if the devil religion wants to rely on slaughter to rise, our world will have the power to contend against them. The crowd was shaken. While everyone was extremely shocked, they also began to cheer. For those who were close to Du Xiaofu, they were very clear about the concept of 36 bolts of spiritual lightning. It could be said that as long as he completed the fusion, there would be hope for him to surpass the heavenly saint stage. By then, the demon god would no longer be a threat. That damned old thing. He actually managed to find so many spiritual thunders. This is troublesome. It won't be easy for Lord Demon God to kill Du Xiaofu. Bastard. Many experts in the devil religion were discussing among themselves, and all of them had solemn expressions. All 36 spiritual thunders have been found. Damn it! The demon god roared, his anger bursting. Du Xiaofu originally had 8 bolts of spiritual lightning. Huolei Laozu had brought back 18 bolts, and Du Xiaofu had already fused them. However, if that was the case, the demon god was not afraid at all. After all, 26 bolts of spiritual lightning were not enough for Du Xiaofu to construct a complete law of lightning. In the primordial times, the ancestor of the Du family had used the law of lightning to surpass the heavenly saint stage. He himself had mastered the complete law of lightning. After the heavenly Tao had fallen, his body had turned into 36 bolts of spiritual lightning. If he lacked one bolt, he would not be able to form a complete law of lightning. However, now, the young man in the short-sleeved shirt had brought back another 10 bolts of spiritual lightning. In total, he had gathered all 36 bolts of spiritual lightning. Once Du Xiaofu completed the fusion, there was a great chance that he would surpass the heavenly saint stage and have a real battle with the demon god. Although the demon god was not afraid that Du Xiaofu could deal with him, the devil religion's pace of slaughter would be greatly hindered. Under such a situation, how could he continue to remain calm? Do you think I will still watch you fuse with these spiritual lightning bolts? The demon god roared angrily as his gigantic palm descended from the sky and smacked down at Du Xiaofu. The void trembled as its might surged. The terrifying power assaulted the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Amidst the waves of demonic aura, a hurricane seemed to have appeared between heaven and earth, sweeping and slicing wantonly, destroying everything. Under such an attack, Du Xiaofu quickly brought Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang to escape for their lives. They did not dare to face it head-on. Go and protect my father. In the distance, little Xingxing called out to Fu Yibai and the other 4. With the gigantic tortoise shell, he was about to fly into the sky. He wanted to fight the demon god and buy time for Du Xiaofu to refine the 10 bolts of spiritual lightning. You guys had better stay here obediently. Seeing the actions of little Xingxing and the other 5, the 8 demon emperors snorted and leaped out to intercept the 6 of them. They knew what the 36 bolts of spiritual lightning meant to Du Xiaofu. If they allowed little Xingxing to take action and allow Du Xiaofu to safely complete the fusion, it would be a huge threat to the devil religion. Therefore, they could not just watch as little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and the rest went to provide support. Under the attack of the demon god, with Du Xiaofu's current strength, it would be difficult for him to even escape, let alone refine the spiritual lightning bolts. Brat, stop running. Just as everyone was solemn, Huolei Laozu, who was beside Du Xiaofu, suddenly said. Du Xiaofu was puzzled. The demon god was chasing closely behind. If they did not run, wouldn't the 3 of them become living targets for him to wipe out? Why are you still running? Huolei Laozu suddenly cursed and continued, you have the lightning martial vein, and these 36 bolts of spiritual lightning were prepared for your Du family. If it were anyone else, they would be courting death if they wanted to refine them together. But you are different. Perhaps it would be difficult to fuse the first few bolts of spiritual lightning, but it would be easier later on. Now that the 36 bolts of spiritual lightning have been gathered, there is no need to refine them. Just use your lightning martial vein to devour them. There is no need to waste any time at all. So that's how it is. Du Xiaofu instantly understood Huolei Laozu's meaning and felt enlightened. Only now did he truly understand why the devil religion had been searching for the Du family with the lightning martial vein for so many years. They had even kidnapped Du Chang and controlled him. So that was what they were planning. Brat, listen to me. There will be a surprise. Huolei Laozu looked at Du Xiaofu and vowed. Okay. Du Xiaofu agreed, but he didn't stop running away at full speed. Since the remaining 10 bolts of spiritual lightning did not require any time to refine, he could devour them while he was moving. Perhaps after he had fused all the spiritual lightning, he would no longer be afraid of the demon god. But Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang could not. Even if they were brushed by some of the attacks, it would be a threat to the 2 of them. Keep. Du Xiaofu let out a soft cry. Under his control, the 10 bolts of spiritual lightning drilled into his glabella. At the same time, the thunder martial veins appeared on his body. They were like veins that were climbing up his body. Buzz, at this moment, a powerful pressure suddenly rose between heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, it spread out and suppressed the primordial spirits of all the living beings. This kind of pressure was even more powerful than when facing the deities. All the living beings felt their hair stand on end and wanted to crawl in awe. They could not muster any rebellious thoughts. It was like the power of heaven, pervasive and all-pervasive. Roar, in the Kyushu realm of the 3 continents, countless beasts let out muffled roars from their throats. Then, they transformed into their true forms and crawled on the ground. The human experts were the same. All of them were shocked and paralyzed, their expressions filled with reverence. In front of everyone's eyes, bolts of lightning condensed around Du Xiaofu's body, blooming with terrifying power. Red, yellow, blue, purple, green, cyan, black, white, orange, gray, brown, and so on. The thunder martial veins in his body, which were originally a single color, suddenly changed. Red, yellow, blue, purple, green, cyan, black, white, orange, gray, brown, and so on, continuously flashed and circulated. Chi. In Du Xiaofu's mind, the law imprint engraved on his primordial spirit also shone brightly. Mysterious rays of light twisted and turned, circulating continuously. Large patches of patterns lit up, forming a magical pattern. As Du Xiaofu's aura became more and more vigorous, a part of the pattern on the law imprint became more and more connected. It was orderly and perfect, giving off the most mysterious fluctuations. Walala, outside his body, lightning roared and vibrated, spreading in all directions. Waves of terrifying power shuttled between heaven and earth, traversing the heavens and the earth. Following that, the aura of the purple-robed young man also started to rise violently. In just a moment, it had reached a level that made one's heart tremble. At the same time, the pressure that filled every inch of space also became abnormally strong. It made one feel as if they were facing a supreme and terrifying lord, making one's body and mind tremble. This is, among the 8 demon emperors, the 9th demon emperor trembled as he spoke. He was all too familiar with this kind of pressure. In the primordial era, the invincible supreme being had this kind of terrifying aura. Is he Du Xiaofu now, or is he the heavenly Tao? The 8th demon emperor also panicked and couldn't help but murmur. What are you panicking for? Suddenly, the great demon emperor's gloomy and hoarse voice rang out. He scolded the 8th demon emperor and the 9th demon emperor. Although their auras are very similar, their power is far inferior to the heavenly Tao in the past. Although Du Xiaofu has the thunderbolt martial vein and has integrated 36 spiritual thunders, he has not integrated the heavenly Tao. He is still no match for the Lord Demon God. That's right. The auras are indeed similar. They are all fluctuations of the law of thunder. However, Du Xiaofu has only integrated the spiritual thunders, so he is no match for the ancestor of the Du family in the past. Although the Lord Demon God may have some trouble dealing with him, there will be no accidents. Du Xiaofu will not be able to escape death in the end. The 2nd demon emperor also said. Although his eyes were filled with shock, he still spoke in a calm manner. Under everyone's gaze, Du Xiaofu's aura kept increasing and became extremely terrifying. Soon, it reached the peak state when he had condensed the boundless sovereign qi. Seeing this change, Huolei Laozu's old face couldn't help but reveal a gratified smile. In his eyes, Du Xiaofu's aura, after a violent surge, quickly converged. At this moment, the 36-colored thunderbolts had already fused into one, turning into the brightest and most crystal-clear color. As the thunder martial vein was retracted, it quieted down in Du Xiaofu's body, and there were no longer any fluctuations. Apparently, he had successfully integrated the 36 spiritual thunders with the help of the thunderbolt martial vein. All of this took a long time to describe, but in fact, it happened in just a few moments. Even when all the changes were completed, the demon god's attack had not arrived. The peak of the Heaven Sage stage, almost the same as when I had condensed the boundless sovereign qi. Feeling the changes in his body, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. His current strength was different from when he had condensed the sovereign qi. Now that he had integrated the 36 spiritual thunders, it could be said that his control of the law of thunder and lightning was more perfect, and his strength had increased tremendously. For the sovereign qi, it was a borrowed power, which was the condensation of all the living beings' faith, and it was an external force. Such a change was really a pleasant surprise for Du Xiaofu. He didn't expect that after integrating the 36 spiritual thunders, his attainment in the law of thunder and lightning could reach such a high level. He could clearly feel that with a little more progress, he could surpass the cultivation of the completion of the Heaven Sage stage and enter a new world. But, it seems that it is still not enough. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows again, but his heart was still heavy. Although he had reached the peak of the Heaven Sage stage, if he fought against the demon god with such strength, the final result would be the same as before. Why can't I surpass the Heaven Sage stage? The 36 spiritual thunders represent the complete law of thunder and lightning. After the integration, it shouldn't be like this. Du Xiaofu thought quickly and thought about the key point. He seemed to have vaguely grasped something, but he couldn't really grasp it thoroughly. There must be some key point that he hadn't grasped. At this moment, the demon god's attack came again. The huge palm stirred up the boundless void, causing the heaven and earth to tremble. Open for me. However, this time, after Du Xiaofu let out a deafening roar, he saw a bolt of lightning thicker than the body of the demon god forming in the void. It violently blasted out and fiercely collided with the giant hand that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Boom! A terrifying shock wave burst out, and the thunderbolt beam was instantly shattered, forming an unparalleled energy storm. The violent force drove Du Xiaofu's body and sent him flying into the distance. After a wah sound, blood spurted out, and the purple and gold color dyed the sky. As expected, I can't fight it head-on. Du Xiaofu retreated in shock, quickly retreating far away. Even though he had reached the peak of the Heaven Sage stage, he still couldn't defeat the demon god. After a head-on collision, he immediately suffered serious injuries. After retreating into the distance, a pitch-black hole appeared beside him. This was the entrance to the ancient barren space. Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang flashed out from inside. Long before the demon god's attack came, they had been kept by Du Xiaofu. Otherwise, the two of them would have died in the terrifying energy storm. As expected, it still won't work. Even after the integration of 36 spiritual thunders, you still can't surpass the Heaven Sage stage. After Huolei Laozu appeared, he sensed the aura on Du Xiaofu's body and spoke as if he had expected this situation. Ancestor, why is this happening? Du Xiaofu was puzzled. Logically speaking, this shouldn't have happened. However, no matter how he thought about it, he couldn't grasp the crux of the problem. Ha 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 ha, Huolei Laozu didn't answer. After taking a deep look at Du Xiaofu, he suddenly laughed loudly. His laughter was crazy, but strangely, there was a hint of pride in it. When Du Xiaofu saw this, he was puzzled. Lei Tianhuang glanced at Du Xiaofu, then turned to look at Huolei Laozu and couldn't help but say, Ancestor, however, before he could finish speaking, he heard the demon god speak again from afar. After integrating 36 spiritual thunders, you're still in the Heaven Sage stage. How can you fight me? With this kind of strength, you can't avoid death. The huge face moved horizontally in the void, quickly approaching Du Xiaofu and the other two. Demon god. Huolei Laozu, who was laughing loudly, suddenly stopped. He turned to the demon god and said loudly, because of the murderous calamity you created in the primordial age, the heavenly Tao suppressed it, and it was obliterated by the invisible rules. You turned into 36 spiritual thunders and died in this world. That's how I and the boy next to me were born. It can be said that without you, we wouldn't exist. As Huolei Laozu spoke, he pointed at Lei Tianhuang and continued to say to the demon god, between us, we'll fight to the death. However, you thought too highly of yourself and didn't kill us in the dark palace in the clouds earlier. Because you thought that after you recovered, we'd be no different from ants in your eyes. After saying this, Huolei Laozu paused for a moment, then continued, but today, you'll know how stupid you were to underestimate us back then. How stupid. And you'll also pay the price for your stupidity. This price is very likely your life as a demon god. Ha 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 ha. Huolei Laozu suddenly laughed crazily again, as if there was an indescribable joy in his heart that had been suppressed for a long time. Not only the demon god, but even Du Xiaofu, who was standing beside him, felt a little confused. He didn't understand why this old guy was so smug. However, they were also very clear about what Huolei Laozu said. The demon god had personally experienced each and every one of them. And for Du Xiaofu, he had also seen the primordial age in the long river of time, so it was no different from experiencing it himself. Hearing Huolei Laozu's laughter, the demon god stopped and listened quietly with Du Xiaofu. He wanted to know what else he would say next, and why he was so crazy and proud. Chapter 2657. Huolei Laozu's arrogant laughter made Du Xiaofu very puzzled. He really could not understand why Huolei Laozu would be so proud of himself at a time like this. After all, he had not surpassed the Sky Sage stage after fusing with the 36 spiritual thunders. In other words, his control of the law of lightning had not reached perfection, and he did not have the power to fight the demon god head-on. This situation could be said to be unexpected. His mood was already extremely heavy, but at this time, facing Huolei Laozu beside him, Du Xiaofu could only twitch the corner of his mouth. He was confused. Translator, Transin editor, Transin the chubby face of Thunder Fire Ancestor was shaking as he laughed. His fat was rippling, and his long red hair was fluttering in the wind. He was extremely arrogant. Looking at his expression, it was as if he had defeated the demon god and withstood the great calamity. He was indescribably happy. What's wrong with Huolei Laozu? In the tricontinent Kyushu region, countless living beings were also dumbfounded. No one knew why Huolei Laozu was so proud. The Rock Emperor had clearly been injured by the demon god's attack, but he still had the leisure to be unrestrained at a time like this. He. I think this old bastard's brain must have been flooded with water. An expert from the devil religion laughed sinisterly. Maybe he was even squeezed by the door. The 8 demon emperors sneered as they spoke. When many living beings heard this, they all glared fiercely at the people from the devil religion, but they did not refute. Obviously, although they did not agree with the words of the people from the devil religion, they were powerless to defend themselves. Moreover, at this time, Huolei Laozu's expression did seem a little silly. Grandpa, what's wrong with the ancestor? Little Qilin stepped on the air and jumped onto Du Tingshuan's shoulder. It blinked a few times, and its face was full of questions. The ancestor is not a reckless person, especially at a time like this. It's even more impossible for him to do something he's not confident in. There must be a reason why he dared to say such words. Du Tingxian thought for a moment before replying. Although this old man is not very reliable usually, he does not drop the chain at a critical moment. Just wait and see. Who knows what kind of unimaginable things will happen next? Du Xiaoyao added. He looked at the sky, gold. His eyes were. He knew Huolei Laozu. He was not that Huolei Laozu was, he was, he was not was, he was, he was, he. Demonic God. In the sky, Du Xiaofu, Huolei Laozu, and Lei Tianhuang stood opposite the demonic god. After laughing for a while, Huolei Laozu stared at the demonic god's huge body again and said, "Do you really think Du Xiaofu can't surpass the Heaven Saint stage after integrating 36 spiritual thunders? In this world, the devil religion is not allowed to run rampant. And all of this will come to an end today." Opposite them, the demonic god did not speak. He just listened quietly. However, Huolei Laozu's words made him feel a little uneasy. Ancestor, Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and wanted to ask about the doubts in his heart. However, he was interrupted by Huolei Laozu. "Kid, don't worry. I'll tell you everything you want to know." Huolei Laozu turned to face Du Xiaofu with his big belly. He looked deeply at the purple-robed young man in front of him. In that pair of resolute eyes, there was a rare strong affection brewing, as if he was using the eyes of an elder to look deeply at an outstanding descendant that he could be proud of. When the immemorial heavenly way fell, it turned into 36 spiritual thunders. Everyone thought that as long as one integrated with these 36 spiritual thunders, they would be able to control the complete law of lightning and surpass the Heaven Saint stage. They would reach the level of your Du family's ancestor. If they were lucky enough, they would even be able to integrate with the heavenly way. However, that was not the case. Huolei Laozu's voice became light. In fact, when you were in the tomb of the heavenly way, you saw the scene of the immemorial era in the upper reaches of the Time River. You know everything. So you should also know that when the heavenly way fell, it didn't just turn into 36 spiritual thunders. It turned into 37. When Du Xiaofu heard this, he couldn't help but look at Lei Tianhuang beside him. He saw that the simple and honest young man squeezed out a smile at him. He even bowed slightly with a hint of respect. The scene of the immemorial era was still vivid in his mind. Naturally, he knew that the 37th spiritual thunder that Huolei Laozu was talking about was Lei Tianhuang standing beside him. However, Lei Tianhuang was different from other spiritual thunders. When he met him in the ancient desolate fearsome grounds, he had just awakened his spiritual intelligence. "Kid, are you ready?" Huolei Laozu looked at Lei Tianhuang and asked seriously. "Yes. I'm ready. I'm not afraid of death." Lei Tianhuang nodded heavily. The simple and honest smile on his face disappeared. His eyes became incomparably determined. "If you're ready, then let's not delay any longer. What needs to be done, we have to do it." Huolei Laozu chuckled and then looked deeply at Du Xiaofu. Immediately after, a scarlet-blue flame rose from his fat body with a whoosh sound. Arcs of lightning flashed and wrapped around his entire body. A terrifying temperature instantly spread out. The entire space above the sky turned scarlet red and was suffused with an intense heat. "Ancestor, what are you doing?" At the side, Du Xiaofu immediately shouted out. He could feel that not only was Huolei Laozu's body burning in the flames, but even his primordial spirit was also being smelted in the thunder fire. As the terrifying primordial spirit power continued to melt, the power of the flames became more and more terrifying. The space directly collapsed, like a handful of dry firewood burning black ash scattered down. Such a scene caused Du Xiaofu to be endlessly alarmed. However, before Huolei Laozu could answer him, on the other side, Lei Tianhuang's voice rang in his ears again. "Disciple bids farewell to master." Du Xiaofu looked back and saw that the shirtless young man in short clothes bowed deeply to him, and his chest suddenly burst open. What followed was countless bolts of thunder and lightning that rumbled in the air. A large ball of lightning boiled and climbed all over Lei Tianhuang's body. His body was disintegrating, and the power of his primordial spirit was also rapidly dispersing. And the power contained in this ball of lightning was also rapidly increasing. "Ancestor! Tianhuang!" Du Xiaofu shouted in panic. At this moment, how could he not know what Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang were going to do? Previously, after fusing with the 36 bolts of spiritual thunder, the doubts that had arisen because he had not surpassed the Heaven Sage realm were immediately clear at this moment. "Kid, your disciple was also formed when the heavenly way fell. Although he is far from being as powerful as the other 36 bolts of spiritual thunder, it is undeniable that he is indeed the 37th bolt of spiritual thunder. And I, the ancestor, was formed by the lightning fire that was born when the spiritual thunder streaked across the sky. Therefore, my body also contains a part of the energy that was stripped from a certain bolt of spiritual thunder. Therefore, without us, even if you have fused with the 36 bolts of spiritual thunder, you still can't control the complete law of thunder and lightning. Only when we are together and fuse with the 36 bolts of spiritual thunder can you truly complete all of this. It is no different from the law of thunder and lightning that your ancestor of the Du family controlled back then. Only in this way can you truly surpass the Heaven Sage realm and fight with the demon god." In the void, in the scarlet-blue lightning fire, Huolei Laozu's primordial spirit power fluctuated and passed into Du Xiaofu's perception. "Ancestor, Du Xiaofu murmured, and 2 streams of tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes. He understood Huilei Laozu's meaning very well. The immemorial heavenly ways law of thunder and lightning had surpassed the heaven sage realm and represented the supreme and complete law of thunder and lightning. Huilei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang were both a part of the heavenly ways law of thunder and lightning when it fell, and were essentially no different from the 36 bolts of spiritual thunder. Only when they burned their primordial spirits and wiped out their spiritual intelligence, returning to their most primitive state and fusing with Du Xiaofu, would he be able to complete the law of thunder and lightning. Only in this way could he surpass the heaven sage realm and fight with the demon god. After this, Huilei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang would completely fall. Ancestor Tianhuang. All of you, stop. Du Xiaofu roared and waved his hand, shooting out 2 purplish gold rays of light towards the thunder and fire formed by Huilei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang in an attempt to stop them. Kid, prepare to fuse with the complete law of thunder and lightning. Huilei Laozu's primordial spirit fluctuation came from the scarlet blue thunder and fire. Then, the entire thunder and fire flashed and turned into a bolt of lightning after a crackling sound, drilling into Du Xiaofu's forehead. Master, I'll help you complete the law of thunder and lightning. On the other side, Lei Tianhuang's thunder and lightning ball also sent out a wisp of primordial spirit fluctuation. Following which, the ball of resplendent lightning slashed down and suddenly plunged into Du Xiaofu's body. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly closed tightly. Everything in this world has its ups and downs. The cycle of karma also has a beginning and an end. The primordial heavenly Tao took action to suppress the demon god and engrave the thunder martial vein in the bodies of the descendants of the Du family. We and the 36 bolts of spirit thunder all came from the heavenly Tao. Today, we fused with the thunder martial vein, which can be considered as returning to the heavenly Tao. Kid, don't be sad. I, your ancestor, can die without regrets. Master, to die in order to defeat the demon god, your disciple can die without regrets. Kid, it's up to you now. Huilei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang's voices sounded in Du Xiaofu's mind one after another. When the last wisp of fluctuation was released, the power of the 2 primordial spirits finally returned to silence and disappeared into nothingness. On Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, the law imprint was glowing. Mysterious patterns lit up and circulated with brilliance. A part of the pattern that was originally close to perfection finally closed, forming a complete pattern that emitted a mysterious light. Buzz buzz, after all this began, Du Xiaofu's aura suddenly rose violently and became incomparably terrifying. The thunder martial vein appeared outside his body. Streaks of lightning were bright and dazzling, releasing a destructive aura. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's entire body seemed to become illusory. It was as if he was in harmony with heaven and earth, resonating with some kind of magical rhythm. He just stood there quietly, but there was a mysterious charm that was indescribable and unexplainable. It was as if he represented some supreme principle of heaven and earth. Below, countless living beings looked at each other in dismay when they saw this scene. They were extremely shocked. Damn it! Not far from Du Xiaofu, the demon god suddenly cursed. His majestic body stretched out and his palm shook the air, striking fiercely at Du Xiaofu. With his cultivation, how could he not see the changes in Du Xiaofu's body at this moment? If all this was allowed to continue, the demon god knew better than anyone else what he would face later. Therefore, he chose to attack without hesitation. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu before he could integrate the complete law of thunder and lightning. I understand. The complete law of thunder and lightning, so this is what it is. Below, there were also living beings who shouted as they understood the key point. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes were tightly shut and he had entered a mysterious state. When the demon god's palm descended, a burst of powerful lightning suddenly appeared outside his body, forming a giant barrier that stood erect in the sky. Boom, the demon god's palm shook the world and slammed heavily on the lightning barrier outside Du Xiaofu's body. The sturdy lightning barrier shattered instantly, turning into large pieces of lightning runes that flickered in the air. Du Xiaofu was sent flying by the energy storm, but his eyes were still tightly shut. At the same time, the demon god's palm was also repelled, but it did not cause much damage to Du Xiaofu. What a terrifying lightning defense! It's so powerful. He can even block the demon god's attack, and the Rock Emperor is not injured. This is too terrifying. Is this the complete law of thunder and lightning? It seems like it's impossible for the demon god to defeat the Rock Emperor in a one-sided manner. Countless living beings looked up at the scene in the sky and were shocked beyond words. Previously, the Rock Emperor had been suppressed by the demon god. Even with the help of the boundless Emperor's energy and the integration of the 36 spiritual thunders, he was still not a match for the demon god. Now, with the help of the lightning barrier, he had actually withstood the demon god's attack. The gap between the two of them had shrunk to an extreme, and there was bound to be a fierce battle next. Ancestor. Tian Huang, in the distance, after Du Xiaofu had flown for hundreds of thousands of miles, he slowly opened his eyes and stopped in the void. Tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes, and he was filled with sorrow. Before the last traces of the primordial spirits of Hulei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang dissipated, they controlled their bodies and entered Du Xiaofu's body. At this time, the two of them had already died, and their spiritual intelligence had been obliterated. They had turned into the purest lightning energy and merged with Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein, completing the most complete law of thunder and lightning. However, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with sorrow. Over the years, he had worked hard to cultivate, and constantly flipped between life and death to increase his cultivation, all in order to protect the people around him from harm. Today, Hulei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang, in order to be able to deal with the demon god, for the continuation of this world, resolutely obliterated themselves. This scene reminded him of the time in the long river of time, when he saw the ancestor of the Du family, who was the way of heaven, was willing to be annihilated and suppress the demon god for the sake of the world. The comparison before and after was such a similar scene. And Hulei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang were both transformed from the ancestor of the Du family. What happened today seemed to be the continuation of the Archean catastrophe. Du Xiaofu's tears poured down, and the scenes of his first encounter with Hulei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang flashed in his mind. Back then, when he woke up leisurely in the cave, he saw the old man in a blue robe with a big belly that was almost torn apart. "I'm your ancestor. Kid, aren't you going to greet me?" The old man rolled his eyes at the purple-robed youth. "I'm greeting." The youth's eyes turned, and he was suspicious. "Senior, are you from the Du family?" "Although I'm not from the Du family, I'm somewhat related to the Du family, especially to your ancestor, so naturally, I'm your ancestor." The old man seemed to be a little impatient. "Senior, if you're really an elder of the Du family, I should greet you and welcome you back to the Du family." A flash of light flashed across the purple-robed youth's eyes, and he said hesitantly, "But with your status, if I have to greet you, wouldn't I have to? What exactly is it?" "Don't hesitate. Since you're an elder of the Du family, and this is the first time you've met me, I should greet you, but I don't know if you have any greeting gifts or anything. With your status, at least sacred weapons, sacred elixirs, or something like that would be worthy of your attention." Hearing the youth's words, the old man was stunned, and he was in a daze for a long time. "Kid, I've cultivated for countless years, but you're like this for the first time." The purple-robed youth was thick-skinned, and he kept asking for treasures, sacred weapons, and sacred elixirs, which made the old man gnash his teeth in anger. He secretly regretted that he did not slap this brat to death before he woke up. From the first time they met, he was wary of Hulei Laozu, but later on, he relied on him more and more. Hulei Laozu had accompanied him to the ancient wilderness ominous grounds, the tomb of Heaven Dao, and the demon realm. These scenes kept playing in Du Xiaofu's mind. And Lei Tianhuang, when they met in the ancient wilderness continent, he only let him comprehend the thunder martial vein, and he inexplicably gained such a cheap disciple. On the other hand, he had never really taught him anything. Moreover, he had obtained the sun thunder root from him. When Lei Tianhuang was comprehending the thunder martial vein, Du Xiaofu had also comprehended a large amount of thunder profound from him. Today, after years of hard work, Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang finally found a total of 28 spiritual thunders, and they disintegrated themselves to help him perfect the law of thunder. Both of them died. Chapter 2658. Forefather, Tianhuang. High up in the sky, Du Xiaofu raised his head and circulated the Xian qi in his body, evaporating the tears on his face. He slowly retracted his thoughts and opened his eyes. His gaze regained its determination as he muttered, "Don't worry, I will not disappoint you. Even if I have to risk my life, I will defeat the god fiend." Du Xiaofu clenched his fists tightly and trembled slightly. All the aura on his body had been retracted, and there were no strong ripples being emitted. He looked extremely ordinary. Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang are both a part of the complete law of lightning. Without them, the Rock Emperor will naturally not be able to fuse with the complete law of lightning. But these two people actually sacrificed themselves in order for the Rock Emperor to have enough strength to defeat the god fiend. Such righteous and awe-inspiring actions make us feel reverence in our hearts. Huolei Laozu, Lei Tianhuang, these two people's names will eventually be recorded in history and passed down through the ages. Send off the two heroes. Send off the two heroes. Many people sighed in admiration as they chanted the names of Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang, sending off their souls. Forefather, Tianhuang, rest in peace. If the calamity can finally end, the descendants of my Du family will worship you for generations to remember your bravery today. Du Tingxian said softly as tears glistened in the corners of his eyes. Beside him, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaolin, Jialo Jueyu, Chen Qingchen, and Fu Yibai all bowed towards the sky with reverence in their hearts. Du Xiaofu. Just as everyone was immersed in grief, the god fiend spoke again with a loud voice. His two black eyes emitted a sinister aura as he stared at the purple-robed youth in the distance without moving. There was hatred brewing in his eyes. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura was restrained and deep, but the god fiend knew that this young man had used the lightning martial vein to successfully fuse with the complete law of lightning, surpassing the Sky Saint realm. In reality, his strength was not weaker than the god fiend who was suppressed by the power of heaven and earth. Do you really think that you'll be able to fight me just because you fused with the laws of lightning formed by the heavenly Tao? Back then, even Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian could not do anything to me. Do you think you can kill me? Do you think that you are the Du family's ancestor? The god fiend gritted his teeth as he enunciated each word. I can't kill you, but why are you so angry? Du Xiaofu glanced at the god fiend and said indifferently. He knew that he was. Back then, the Lord of the 3,000 Sectors world and the Dragon God, who the god fiend referred to as Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian, had hunted the god fiend down in the 3,000 Sectors world. However, when the god fiend escaped to this world, the two powerhouses could not do anything to him because they were suppressed by the power of heaven and earth. In the end, the Lord of the 3,000 Sectors world persuaded the Du family's ancestor, the primordial heavenly Tao, to borrow the power of the invisible law of this world to suppress the god fiend. It was not until countless years later that the seal was broken. Du Xiaofu knew his own strength. Even if he had surpassed the saint realm, he had not fused with the heavenly Tao to mobilize the invisible law of this world and suppress the god fiend like the ancestor. However, with such strength, he was definitely qualified to fight the god fiend head-on. Ha 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 ha, hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the god fiend was so angry that he laughed, causing the entire world to tremble. After a while, his laughter gradually died down. He looked coldly at the young man and said disdainfully, "If we were in another world, with your strength, I would have killed countless people with one slap." "Hee, is that so? Then why don't you go to another world?" Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and asked seriously. The god fiend was stunned. Of course, he knew the meaning of Du Xiaofu's words. If he had gone to another world, Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian would not have let him go. If it were not for the uniqueness of this world, he would not have been able to escape from the pursuit of those two. Going to another world was the same as looking for a beating. The god fiend did not dwell on this question. Instead, he said, "Do you know why the ancestor of the Du family could not kill me and could only suppress and seal me, even with the help of the law of heaven and earth?" The god fiend looked at Du Xiaofu with a ferocious look on his face. "Because I have an indestructible body. In this world, no one can really kill me. Even in the other world, not even Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian. So, the god fiend is so powerful. I wonder who was the one who was hunted down by the master of the 3,000 great worlds and the dragon god like a stray dog. He ran to our world with his tail between his legs and finally showed off his power here." Du Xiaofu said calmly without any expression. However, Du Xiaofu had heard of the god fiend's indestructible body. Back then, Fu Yibai and the others had told him that almost no one could kill the god fiend. Of course, in the other world, with the strength of the master of the 3,000 great worlds and the dragon god, once the god fiend was taken down, any one of them could suppress and seal him, and it would be enough to consign him to eternal damnation. "Kid, you're courting death." The god fiend roared angrily. Violent demonic chi surged out from his body like a huge wave, crashing into the sky. In the sky, the red clouds that occupied half of the sky also surged violently with a rumbling sound. "You've said similar words many times today. Could it be that the god fiend, who is said to be indestructible, only knows how to talk?" Du Xiaofu's long robe fluttered as he snorted coldly. He was happy to see the god fiend angry. At the very least, he could see that the god fiend was a little afraid. Good. 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 I don't have the time to continue wasting time with you. Looks like only when you face death will you know how laughable your arrogance is. The god fiend roared. His previous indifferent demeanor was long gone, and only anger was left. He originally thought that killing the purple-robed youth before him would be no different from squashing an ant. Who knew that there would be so many twists and turns today? First, this kid took out a brocade box. Under his all-out attack and the destruction of his physical body, he still relied on the defense formed by Fu Yibai and the other four to preserve a trace of his primordial spirit. With the strength of the indestructible Xian body, he was reborn on the spot. Immediately after, the entire world worshipped him. All the living beings in this world were cheering for him, allowing him to gain the support of the sovereign's aura. He quickly rose to the great circle of the heavenly saint stage, delaying a lot of time. But at the final moment when he was about to be killed, Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang returned one after another. They brought back 28 bolts of spiritual lightning, allowing him to recover to his peak state. After fusing with all 36 bolts of spiritual lightning, he also reached the great circle of the heavenly saint stage. He originally thought that this was still nothing to worry about. Who would have thought that in the end, Huolei Laozu and Lei Tianhuang would be willing to obliterate themselves and turn into the purest lightning energy to fuse with the purple-robed youth's lightning martial vein and complete the law of lightning, allowing him to successfully surpass the heavenly saint stage and gain the qualifications to challenge him. However, although the god fiend was furious, he still didn't treat Du Xiaofu as his mortal enemy. Because no one could kill him, not to mention Du Xiaofu. The final outcome wouldn't be like what Huolei Laozu had said, where he would have to pay the price of his life for not killing them in the dark palace of the clouds. If he wanted to kill the purple-robed youth before him, he would just have to spend a little more effort. In fact, the god fiend didn't feel threatened because of Du Xiaofu, but rather, he felt aggrieved. If they were in the outside world and weren't suppressed by the heavenly saint stage, with his cultivation, he would have already slapped him into ashes. There would be no need for so much nonsense. But now, his strength was suppressed, and he was at the same level as his opponent. He had reached the limit that the heavenly saint stage could accommodate. Therefore, the god fiend knew that if he wanted to kill Du Xiaofu now, it would be extremely troublesome. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why waste time talking nonsense? Du Xiaofu snorted. With a flick of his sleeve, his body slowly rose into the air calmly. Du Xiaofu, watch how I kill you today. The god fiend's aura suddenly began to change. His towering body, which was like a giant of the heavenly saint stage, suddenly began to shrink rapidly. However, as his body shrunk, the aura on his body became more and more vast, even more terrifying than before. After a while, his originally indomitable body had shrunk to about 10 feet tall. Compared to Du Xiaofu, he was only half a body taller. But at this moment, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the god fiend's power had been greatly compressed and condensed to become even denser and more vigorous. That brass-colored skin, with bulging muscles, was still releasing an explosive power. Outside his body, streams of demonic qi, which seemed to be solid, surrounded him. The demonic qi undulated continuously and transformed into a scene of boundless ferocity. As he spoke, his body suddenly moved. He quickly swept out in the air, raised his fist, and smashed it down in Du Xiaofu's direction. Kill! Seeing that the god fiend had attacked, Du Xiaofu let out a roar from his throat. The void exploded, and terrifying cracks spread out. At the same time, an inexplicable pressure was vast and mighty in the heavenly saint stage, causing all living creatures to feel their primordial spirits throbbing. It was as if they were facing the arrival of a deity and wanted to prostrate themselves. Boom! Du Xiaofu moved brazenly and pushed out his palm. A bright red pillar of lightning burst out and expanded in the wind. In a flash, it became tens of thousands of feet tall and was pushed forward in the void by him, rushing toward the god fiend. Chi chi chi, this pillar of lightning released an incomparably terrifying aura. The space cracked silently, forming a pitch-black hole that extended all the way to the god fiend. In the end, the god fiend's fist smashed into the pillar of lightning. Boom 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 boom, the god fiend's fist was wrapped in layers of pitch-black demonic qi. After the pillar of lightning was hit, it shattered into pieces. A terrifying vibration spread out, as if the world was turned upside down. Vast energy fragments flew out, forming a destructive storm that swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The pillar of lightning in Du Xiaofu's hand finally dissipated completely. The god fiend's fist continued to move forward, directly attacking the root of the problem. After the dazzling pillar of lightning was destroyed, the two people's fists and palms collided with each other. Whoosh! A huge energy screen rose between Du Xiaofu and the god fiend's fist and palm. It was like the sun in the sky, shining brightly for tens of thousands of feet. This huge energy screen separated the two figures. On one side, lightning was boiling, as if it was going to split open the sky. On the other side, blood qi filled the air, as if it was going to split open the sky. Above the 9 heavens, the sea of lightning and the red clouds, each occupying half of the sky, were tumbling non-stop at this moment, brazenly colliding with each other. Terrifying layers of energy overlapped, causing the void to rumble and shake violently. The two diametrically opposite forces were linked with the auras of Du Xiaofu and the god fiend, adding to their ferocity. Boom! The two people's attacks landed and separated as soon as they collided. A terrifying vibration spread out, and both of them were sent flying backward. The layer of light between the two expanded rapidly, as if the scorching sun had suddenly exploded. Endless energy fragments scattered in the void, shaking the 9 heavens. Du Xiaofu was sent flying back thousands of miles, his robes fluttering, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The god fiend also retreated far away, letting out a muffled groan from his chest. His throat rolled twice, and only then did he stop the strong feeling of suffocation. You have indeed surpassed the heavenly saint stage. You have some skills. But you must die today. The god fiend's eyes turned, staring coldly at Du Xiaofu, and said word by word. Kill. Du Xiaofu shouted, and without another word, charged toward the god fiend again. At the same time, he waved his arm in the void, and an invisible wave spread out. The law brand in his mind lit up, connecting with some profound dharma and logos of heaven and earth, the true meaning of the great Tao. Crackle, from the endless sea of lightning above his head, countless lightning bolts struck down, like rivers hanging in the sky, exuding a ferocious and unparalleled power that shook the universe. These lightning bolts were as bright as rainbows, and all of them carried a terrifying aura as they bombarded the god fiend rapidly. Humph! The god fiend snorted coldly, and with a shake of his hand, the endless sea of blood in the sky churned and spread out rapidly in the void. Woo-woo! In an instant, there were bursts of whimpering sounds, like the cries of evil spirits, that made one's scalp tingle. Following that, huge evil spirits crawled out from the blood fog, covered in blood-red scales, with sharp fangs and sharp claws, and in their hands, blood-red swords. Each of these evil spirits had the strength of a perfected saint stage, and were extremely ferocious. The air was filled with the smell of blood, and the space seemed to be greatly affected, becoming as sticky as a quagmire. A series of ferocious roars came from the mouth of the vicious soul. It was as if an army of the underworld was marching out. The blood-red weapons in their hands were overflowing with vicious auras as they directly slashed at the bolts of lightning. Chi, the weapons in each evil spirit's hand struck out, and in an instant, they shattered the lightning bolts. At the same time, they were blasted into a cloud of black gas and dissipated into nothingness. Why did the killing stop? This is not what I want to see. In this situation, the god fiend spoke again, and he could not help but frown. His gaze swept across every corner of the Sanlu Kyushu realm, and he saw that all the killing scenes had temporarily ceased. Whether it was the devil religion's side or the countless living beings' side, all of them were watching the battle between him and Du Xiaofu. It seemed that before the victor was decided, they did not intend to continue fighting. This caused the god fiend to be extremely dissatisfied. Lord God Fiend, when the many powerhouses of the god fiend heard this, they were all stunned. What are you all waiting for? Kill. Leave no one alive. The great demonic emperor quickly understood the god fiend's intention. His petite body floated up into the air, and he shouted in a gloomy and hoarse voice, which reverberated between heaven and earth. At the same time, his sharp claws, which were covered with black scales, moved through the air and directly pounced on little Xingxing. Kill. The other 6 god fiends also moved, and they respectively fought with East Deity, West Devil, South Ru, North Addict, Central Divinity, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaolin, Jialo Jueyu, and the others. Kill. The powerhouses of the god fiend recovered from their initial shock, and they all wielded their weapons and charged into the battlefield with the living beings around them. Thieves of the devil religion, now that the Rock Emperor is no longer afraid of the god fiend, how can he allow you to continue being so arrogant? On the battlefields of the 3 continents in Kyushu, countless living beings moved at the same time and shouted sternly. In an instant, the curtain of a terrifying battle was lifted again. One after another, destructive attacks shot through the air and landed among the crowd. The power was bursting out, the mountains and rivers were shaking, the earth was shattering, the sky was being annihilated, heads were rolling, and blood was pouring out. Kill. With the Rock Emperor here, we are no longer afraid of the devil religion. Countless living beings roared and charged into the battlefield, and their auras were like rainbows as they fought desperately with the powerhouses of the devil religion. Spears and halberds were broken, and pieces of flesh and blood flew in the void. Bodies exploded into blood mists, and the heavens shook and the earth shook, and the sun and moon lost their light. A terrifying scarlet aura rapidly rose and filled the entire 3 continents and Kyushu, filling every inch of space. As the battle continued, countless powerhouses died and disappeared in silence. A large number of people of the devil religion died an unnatural death and turned into dust in the world. Under such a scene, rivers of blood flowed in the scarlet sky like veins of the earth. An invisible, strange power rose from the rivers of blood and enshrouded the entire realm. In the battle, the powerhouses of the devil religion were all affected by this strange power, and their auras rapidly rose. Their strength also increased greatly, and they became extremely ferocious. Chapter 26:59. High up in the sky, Du Xiaofu and the God Fiend were still fighting fiercely. Every time the two of them waved their hands, it was accompanied by a monstrous wave of energy that collided with each other, causing huge waves that caused the world to tremble. Du Xiaofu, how are you going to fight me? The God Fiend roared loudly. A ball of pitch-black demonic aura condensed into a solid form, breaking through the sky and colliding with Du Xiaofu's thunderbolt. When this attack landed, the two of them did not retreat. Instead, they advanced and pounced on each other again. This can't go on. As Du Xiaofu ran, he frowned and pondered. Naturally, the fighting on the battlefields all over the world could not escape his senses. Most importantly, he realized that as the fighting continued, not only did the strength of the devil religion's powerhouses increase, but the God Fiend's ferocious aura also became more and more vigorous, almost suppressing him. Du Xiaofu understood that this was the devil religion's method. They improved through killing and transformed in a sea of blood. If they were allowed to continue killing, then the strength of the devil religion's powerhouses and the God Fiend would become stronger and stronger. In the end, the living beings of the 3 continents and Kyushu could only retreat in defeat. As for the God Fiend, it was even more impossible for him to defeat them. Another powerful attack erupted, causing a terrifying power to spread in all directions. Kill! Du Xiaofu roared as the cyan spirit armor covered his body, wrapping him up tightly. At the same time, he charged straight at the God Fiend without any intention of dodging. You want to go all out? I have an indestructible body. What right do you have to fight me? Die! The God Fiend roared. His shrunken body moved horizontally in the void with incomparable agility. His fist moved through the air, wrapped in fierce fluctuations, and suddenly smashed into Du Xiaofu's chest. Die! Du Xiaofu also punched out, and it also landed on the God Fiend's chest. Dong dong! 2 loud bangs resounded at the same time, like the beating of a heavenly drum. A terrifying demonic aura gushed out of the demon god's fist and ruthlessly slammed into Du Xiaofu's chest. The azure spirit armor that covered his purple robe instantly exploded into pieces. The immortal Xian body also burst open, and a terrifying hole appeared. It went from his chest to his back, and a strong demonic aura rushed out with a whoosh. After Du Xiaofu's punch landed, it was accompanied by a clap of thunder. A bolt of lightning pierced through the demon god's chest, and the vast amount of lightning surged into his body, rampaging through his body and destroying his bodily mechanisms. After exchanging blows, both of them were injured. Hee hee. Du Xiaofu, you can't beat me. The demonic god sneered. He opened his mouth and sucked. Boundless scarlet blood energy rose from the ground, forming blood-colored pythons that burrowed into his mouth. A hazy blood-colored mist surged around his body, and it was frightening. The wound on the God Fiend's chest healed at a speed visible to the naked eye under the dense devil chi. Can't I really beat you? Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. Under the effect of the immortal Xian body, the wound that was blasted open by the demonic god was also slowly wriggling. However, compared to the speed of the demonic god's recovery, it was abnormally slow. He knew that the demonic god was using the evil aura formed by the slaughter to heal himself. However, he did not have such an advantage. After receiving the demonic god's attack, the injuries left behind were extremely serious. Kill, kill, below, countless killings were still going on. One after another, indomitable bodies collapsed, and one after another, valiant lives fell, falling from the sky. Blood covered the sky, and countless wails resounded through the sky. Living beings were crying in grief. The earth shook non-stop, and terrifying magical powers descended one after another. It was as if thousands of mountains were collapsing, and thousands of waves were roaring, boiling everywhere. At every moment, living beings were dying, and lives were disappearing. Du Xiaofu sensed a little and discovered that the various great factions had suffered a large number of casualties. The desolate country's ghost chariot, silver-winged demonic condor, phantom, blood evil vine, thunder eagle king, Mia Meng king, and many other experts had already died in battle. The Taoist sects Taoist Qing Feng and Su Yangzi, the demon vulture clans Yu Su, the phoenix clans Feng Qi Sage, Feng Han, and Feng Wu, the Fang Ji clans Dongli Ruoshu, the ancient thunder elephant clans Xiang Wushuang and Xiang Changsheng, the scarlet demon lion clans Shi Hongtu, the Buddhist sects Ninefold Spirit and Hengluan, the black ice turtle clans Xian Tu, the Baifeng divine bird clans Bai Ho and Shuo, the Sun family's Sun Bufan, and countless other experts had all died in the devil religion's battle. The various forces of Kyushu, the ancient heaven sect, the heavenly music cult, the golden spear sect, the Seiman sword sect, the heavenly thunder fortress, the Feihua sect, the snow wind city, the sacred flame sect, the Hahuan school, the profound talisman sect, and the beasts of Tianhuang continent, the golden-winged Great Ping clan of the beast region, and many other experts had all died. Among these people, there were many sage realm experts who had died. It was the same for the devil religion. Large numbers of experts were killed, and almost all of them had their bodies and souls destroyed. Such terrifying losses could not be described as not tragic. And it was precisely because of this tragedy that mountains of corpses were piled up on the ground, and blood flowed like a sea. The evil aura vibrated faintly, constantly infusing the people of the devil religion and the fiend celestial, further increasing their strength. Du Xiaofu's heart was incomparably heavy. If this continued, the situation would become more and more serious. He originally had no way of truly defeating or even killing the fiend celestial. At most, they could only fight to a standstill. If this continued, it was very likely that he would be the one to lose in the end. I don't believe that you, the fiend celestial, really have an immortal body. Du Xiaofu's words were cold. His figure suddenly appeared in the air, and the spatial laws were activated. He directly disappeared from the spot and appeared in front of the fiend celestial. A palm rose into the air and ruthlessly slammed down on the fiend celestial's head. Following this action, a fierce thunder suddenly descended from the sky and suddenly blasted on the fiend celestial's head. Almost at the instant Du Xiaofu appeared, the fiend celestial also moved his fist horizontally and hit Du Xiaofu's body in the waist. Ga, the sound of bones breaking was heard. Du Xiaofu's spine was instantly broken and twisted to the side at a vertical angle. It made one's scalp tingle. And that fierce thunder also split open the fiend celestial's skull. Green and white things flowed, and the eerie bone stubble stood upright, glowing with a red and black light. And in the brain cavity, one could see a blood-red ball of light, like a bloody sun, with a strong bloody aura. This was the fiend celestial's powerful primordial spirit. Du Xiaofu, you have surprised me again and again today. But in the end, it's useless. You are destined to die. The fiend celestial's face was ferocious as he said hatefully, even if I fight with my life on the line, the one who dies in the end will only be you, not me. As he spoke, he struck out with his palm again and directly grabbed Du Xiaofu's lower limbs in his hand, then suddenly pulled. Qi La. Du Xiaofu's body was cut in half at the waist, and the lower half was held in the fiend celestial's hand. Then, the fiend celestial's hand burst out with demonic qi, and directly crushed it into powder. Under the effect of the Fian Celestial's power, the crushed half of the body would not be able to recover in a short time. Kill. At the same time, Du Xiaofu also grabbed the Fian Celestial's left arm. The celestial qi in the god's watchtower exploded violently, and the power of thunder lingered, entangling the Fian Celestial. Zalala, streaks of lightning flashed, wantonly cutting, and occasionally twisting the Fian Celestial's left arm into pieces. The pieces of flesh fell into the void and were drowned by the lightning, shaking into nothingness. You are going all out just to kill me. And for the sake of killing you, I don't mind playing with you. But in the end, the person who will die will be you. The Fian Celestial spoke again, and his eyes, which were staring at Du Xiaofu, were filled with intense hatred. He knew that now that Du Xiaofu had integrated the complete law of lightning, perhaps he could not kill him, but it would not be so easy for him to kill Du Xiaofu either. At this moment, because of the endless slaughter in this realm, his power continued to increase. This made Du Xiaofu feel a real threat, so he wanted to fight with his life on the line. However, he also thought that as long as he got rid of Du Xiaofu, everything would end. With the support of this realm, even if he were to face Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian again in the future, he would not have the least bit of fear. Hence, the Fian Celestial and Du Xiaofu's thoughts were the same. They would fight with all their might and kill each other, so that they could end things as soon as possible. Today's matter has dragged on for far too long, and he does not intend to drag it on any longer. As long as Du Xiaofu did not die, he would always be a thorn in the Fian Celestial's heart. Go to hell, kid. The Fian Celestial laughed maliciously, and his remaining right palm struck out fiercely towards Du Xiaofu's chest. Lightning martial vein, rise. Du Xiaofu, who had lost half of his body, did not waste time with the Fian Celestial. Instead, he shouted loudly. As his voice fell, there was a buzzing sound, and a huge lightning net appeared out of thin air, covering Du Xiaofu and the Fian Celestial's heads. Following that, a golden light suddenly flashed from between his eyebrows, and suddenly expanded wildly in the void, forming a huge redbone horse monkey primordial spirit, which occupied the space. Roar! The powerful redbone horse monkey primordial spirit roared, and its roar split the void. Golden light filled the air, and the sky and earth trembled violently at this moment. It was also at this moment that the Fian Celestial's palm strike had already struck the remaining half of Du Xiaofu's body. The violet robe shattered soundlessly and was obliterated into nothingness. Subsequently, the robust body rumbled as it exploded into pieces, and it transformed into an expanse of violet gold blood mist. Only his head remained, and it floated high up in the sky. You want to fight with your primordial spirit? The Fian Celestial's eyes were shaken. Just as he spoke, Du Xiaofu's huge redbone horse monkey primordial spirit body crossed the void, turned into a golden lightning bolt, and flashed directly into the crack on the Fian Celestial's head. The demonic qi that was like a rolling wave of blood was swept away by the power of his primordial spirit, and it successfully hit the Fian Celestial's primordial spirit. I don't believe that you really can't die. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit fluctuations came from the Fian Celestial's brain, and his words were incomparably fierce. Do you want to die with me? You can't do it. The Fian Celestial opened his mouth and roared fiercely. In the next moment, the majestic body floating high in the sky suddenly stopped moving, as if it had frozen. However, in his brain, the power of lightning in the blood-red demonic qi rampaged wantonly, and terrifying fluctuations spread out, forming a powerful shock wave that swept through the sky and earth. In the tricontinent Kyushu realm, the primordial spirits of many living beings instantly collapsed under such an impact, and they died an unnatural death. Oh no! Quickly protect your primordial spirits. Soon, a living being immediately shouted in panic. The boundless slaughter that was about to begin stopped once again. Whether it was the people of the devil religion or other living beings, all of them circulated the power in their bodies to protect their primordial spirits. Only little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and a few other heavenly saints could not be affected by the impact of the primordial spirit power. How terrifying! Is this the power that surpasses the heavenly saint realm? The aftermath of some primordial spirit attacks actually has such great destructive power. Some people were secretly shocked, and their minds were trembling. The battle between the Rock Emperor and the Fiend Celestial is too tragic. Both of their bodies have suffered great damage. As for the great Rock Emperor, he only has a head left. I wonder who will emerge victorious in this final battle. I hope the Rock Emperor can win. If even he can't kill the Fiend Celestial, who else can? The Rock Emperor must defeat the Fiend Celestial. The Rock Emperor, kill the Fiend Celestial. You must return alive. Many living beings could not stop chanting and praying in their hearts. Everyone could see that this was the final moment, and Du Xiaofu and the Fiend Celestial could fight to the death at any time. The battle between them had actually reached the stage of the primordial spirit battle. The experts from the devil religion also raised their heads and looked at the scene in the sky without blinking. They were extremely nervous. However, with everyone's primordial spirit senses sealed, no one could hear Du Xiaofu's roar coming from the Fiend Celestial's cracked skull. Fiend Celestial, even if you really have an immortal body, I, Du Xiaofu, will definitely suppress you today. Du Xiaofu roared. As the terrifying power of his Yuan spirit spread out, the giant lightning net that enveloped the sky shrank rapidly. It pressed down and burrowed into the demon god's brain. Du Xiaofu, what are you doing? The Fiend Celestial's primordial spirit waves spread out with intense panic, as if it was experiencing something terrible. Even if I, Du Xiaofu, die, I will not let you off easily. In the Fiend Celestial's skull, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit turned into a ball of bright golden light. Strange patterns were engraved on it, flowing with a mysterious light. After shrinking, the thunder martial vein also flashed with bright lightning, which was exactly the same as a part of the pattern on the primordial spirit's primordial spirit. As the thunder martial vein descended, it overlapped with this part of the pattern on the primordial spirit's primordial spirit and immediately produced an extremely shocking wave. Buzz, a mysterious rhythm was produced, as if it had triggered some kind of invisible rule between heaven and earth, with the most profound dharma and logos, the true meaning of nature. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, which had overlapped with the thunder martial vein, became extremely terrifying at this moment. Suppress! Du Xiaofu shouted in a deep voice. His primordial spirit twisted strangely and turned into a shape similar to the thunder martial vein. Like a net, it tightly wrapped the Fiend Celestial's primordial spirit. Get out of my way! The Fiend Celestial roared desperately. Layers of blood-red light shot out from his primordial spirit, carrying an extremely powerful force, wantonly attacking Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. However, under Du Xiaofu's control, no matter how the Fiend Celestial attacked, he could only shake his primordial spirit, but could not break it and escape from such a trap. Ha 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 ha, Du Xiaofu suddenly laughed wildly. His laughter was vast and carried an extreme sense of joy. Fiend Celestial, you provoked the dragon phoenix tribulation of the ancient times and even caused endless slaughter in this world. You think that no one can control you, even the masters of the 3,000 sectors and the dragon god are helpless against you. However, I, Du Xiaofu, do not believe in this evil. Now, let's die together. Du Xiaofu, are you really not afraid of death? The Fiend Celestial shouted. His voice was hoarse, as if he was going crazy. For the survival of all living beings in this world, for the continuation of the bloodline, for those people I swore to protect, using my life in exchange for so much, everything is worth it. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, thunder suddenly rose above his primordial spirit. Rumble, the part of the pattern where the thunder martial vein and the law imprint were compatible became incomparably bright at this moment. It was many times brighter than the usual scorching sun. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was burning, and a terrifying power surged, constantly adding to the pattern. At this moment, the most perfect thunder and lightning law in this world was constantly releasing a terrifying power. Large amounts of lightning struck down, attacking the Fian Celestial's primordial spirit. The layers of blood-black demonic chi were shattered again and again. At the same time, the Fian Celestial's primordial spirit power was also constantly being consumed. Under this kind of pure primordial spirit power competition, the strength of the two people was rapidly declining. Du Xiaofu, I will definitely not let you off. The Fiend Celestial roared crazily, containing boundless hatred. At this time, what right do you have to say such words? With my primordial spirit and thunder martial vein, as well as the complete thunder and lightning law that I control, as the price, I can exhaust you to death. I don't believe that no matter how strong you Fiend Celestial are, can you be stronger than the complete thunder and lightning law. At the same time, Du Xiaofu was roaring crazily. The power of his primordial spirit was vast and mighty, and the law imprint shone brightly. Waves of powerful thunder and lightning power boiled. This was not only the power of thunder and lightning, but also represented the supreme truth of the thunder and lightning law. It was a kind of trajectory of the great Tao, a kind of natural origin of heaven and earth, supreme. Ah! Du Xiaofu, stop. Ah! Du Xiaofu, I'm not done with you. The Fian Celestial's primordial spirit let out a miserable howl as it struggled with all its might. However, under Du Xiaofu's madness, it was simply unable to escape the violent thunder and lightning shackles. As time passed, the terrifying fluctuations gradually calmed down. The Fian Celestial's primordial spirit power was finally annihilated, and at the same time, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit power had long been exhausted. The only thing left were some crisscrossing pitch-black patterns hanging there, looking especially like withered grass that had turned into ashes after being burned. However, under the gentle breeze high in the sky, it dissipated without a trace. Chapter 2660. The primordial spirits of the God Fiend and Du Xiaofu fell silent and faded away. The majestic demonic body suddenly began to grow larger and larger, returning to its original indomitable appearance. Then, it directly fell from the void and crashed heavily to the ground. Under this smash, a huge human-shaped crater appeared on the solid ground. A large amount of blood splashed out, shooting into the sky and then sprinkling down like rain. The God Fiend's body lay quietly in the crater, not moving at all. Above its skull, inside the crack, there was only darkness. There was no terrifying demonic chi, nor was there Du Xiaofu's lightning power. The two types of power had been completely exhausted and disappeared into nothingness. Dong, Du Xiaofu's remaining head also fell from the sky and landed on the bloody battlefield. Between heaven and earth, the tyrannical primordial spirit fluctuations that filled every inch of space had already dissipated. However, countless living beings were still immersed in deep shock. It was so quiet that it was a little strange. After an unknown amount of time, someone slowly dispersed the power that was protecting their primordial spirit and spoke softly. The God Fiend is dead. The Rock Emperor seems to have fallen too. However, after these words were spoken, there was another long period of silence. Everyone stood there in a daze, unable to speak for a long time. After a long time, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Fu Yibai, and the 8 demon emperors all came back to their senses and exclaimed. Pops, Xiaofu, boss, brother, Lord God Fiend, everyone was mumbling Du Xiaofu or the God Fiend. Then, figures rushed out and tore the void into pieces as if they had gone mad. They quickly rushed to the bottom of the battlefield between the God Fiend and Du Xiaofu. Xiaofu. Du Tingxian half knelt on the ground. His hands trembled as he held up Du Xiaofu's head. He stared blankly at the young and resolute face. Du Xiaofu's eyes were still glaring fiercely. His pupils had lost their luster, but they still reflected a resolute expression. Xiaofu. Du Tingxuan's hands couldn't help but tremble. His 10 fingers trembled, and tears covered his face in an instant. Waves of painful sobs came from his throat. Father. Boss. Third brother. Young patriarch. Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Zhen Qingchun, Jialo Jueyu, Fui Bai, and the others all cried out in pain. Du Xiaolin and Du Xiaohuang even burst into heart-wrenching sobs. With their strengths, they were entirely capable of noticing that the energy of Du Xiaofu's soul core had vanished completely at this moment, and only his head remained intact. The upper and lower parts of his body had been shattered by the god fiend. Even his immortal Xian body didn't have time to recover. All of this proved that the young man had already passed away. Rock Emperor. Has the Rock Emperor fallen? That's impossible. How could he have fallen? This must be fake. That's the Rock Emperor. How could the Rock Emperor die? It can't be. How could he die? Soon, the other experts in the Kyushu realm of the three continents were also alarmed. The entire realm was in an uproar, and countless people were shouting loudly. However, the irrefutable fact was right in front of them. Even if countless people were unwilling to admit it, they had no choice but to accept it in the end. In an instant, endless sorrow and pain gushed out from the bottom of their hearts. The Rock Emperor has fallen. The Rock Emperor has fallen. In order to defeat the God Fiend, the Rock Emperor died together with the God Fiend. The Rock Emperor. Many creatures cried out in grief, their hearts filled with grief. No. Dongli Qingqing, Su Muxin, Ouyang Shuang, Qi Yeshi, Yi Zijin, Zi Xian, Sima Muhan, Moron Yorua, and the other women's delicate bodies trembled. They felt as if their hearts had been hit by a heavy hammer, and they almost fell down. Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger Du, Dai Xingyu, Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, and the others felt as if their hearts had been ruthlessly squeezed by an invisible hand, and the pain was excruciating. Meanwhile, all the remaining members of the forces that were close to Du Xiaofu gathered toward the battlefield from all directions. The school of Mo, the Confucian school, the school of Farmer, the school of Yin Yang, the school of Taoism, the school of Fang, the Phoenix clan, the Human Divine Palace and the Beast Alliance of the Ancient Wilderness Continent, the Beasts of the Tianhuang Continent, the Ancient Heaven Sect, the Saman Sword Sect, the Heavenly Music Cult, the Heavenly Thunder Fortress, the Golden Spear Sect, the 100 Flowers Gate, the Snow-Blowing City, the Holy Flame Sect, the Hahuan School, the Mystic Talisman Alliance, Tianwu Academy, the 7-Star Hall, the Golden-Winged Great Rocks, and countless other experts swiftly moved and surrounded Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, and the others. Everyone's eyes were filled with indescribable sadness and heartache. They looked at the young man's head, and tears streamed down their faces. When the God Fiend recovered, this young man had never retreated and had fought with his life on the line. If not for him, the war in this world would have ended long ago. None of the living beings in this world would have been able to keep their lives, and the entire world would have turned into a demonic domain. No one could say for sure when it started, but everyone naturally regarded him as the pillar of this world. As long as he was around, everyone had enough confidence to fight against the devil religion. He was not only the Rock Emperor of the desolate country, but also the Rock Emperor of all living beings in this world. For the continuation of the bloodline of all living beings, for the ultimate survival of this world, he fought the God Fiend alone. However, he also knew that the God Fiend was very difficult to kill and could only fight to the death. In the end, he did it. The God Fiend was dead. His primordial spirit was destroyed, and his demonic body collapsed. Every living being had seen it with their own eyes. With the death of the God Fiend, the calamity in this world could no longer cause too big of a commotion. With just the remaining 8 demon emperors, the people of the devil religion had lost their fighting spirit without the God Fiend's leadership. How could they fight against the many living beings who were not afraid of death? The end of the calamity was only a matter of time. However, the Rock Emperor would never see such a day again. Send off the Rock Emperor. Some living beings suddenly knelt down and bowed deeply. This bow represented the utmost respect in their hearts. This bow represented the deep sorrow in their hearts. This bow was perfectly justified. Send off the Rock Emperor. Send off the Rock Emperor. Countless living beings knelt on the ground like waves and bowed deeply towards the young man's head. Almost everyone was sobbing in indescribable pain. Those sounds of farewell shook the world, and it caused the entire world to weep for them. No one stood up for a long time. Only a strong sense of sorrow spread through the crowd. It's time to make the devil religion pay the ultimate price. After a long, long time, someone suddenly gritted their teeth and said this. After another long period of silence, the creatures suddenly stood up one after another. Their eyes were about to split apart, and their killing intent was shooting out. The God Fiend is dead. None of the people of the devil religion can be spared. Use the blood of all the people of the devil religion as a sacrifice to the soul of the Rock Emperor in heaven. Avenge the Rock Emperor. Blood for blood. Kill the bastards of the devil religion. Show no mercy. Eliminate the devil religion. Blood for blood. Avenge the Rock Emperor. Blood for blood. Kill. In an instant, the whole world was in an uproar. Everyone's hair danced wildly, and their eyes were bloodshot. They howled and charged into the battlefield. The weapons in their hands emitted dazzling rays of scorching heat. Kill. Use the blood of the people of the devil religion as a sacrifice to the Rock Emperor. A living being stepped forward, allowing the sabers of the people of the devil religion to cut into his chest. The spear in his hand pierced through the void and ruthlessly stabbed into the eyes of the people of the devil religion. The force of the attack blew up more than half of the people's heads and destroyed their primordial spirits. Kill. Avenge the Rock Emperor. Blood for blood. Someone slashed his saber across the sky. A terrifying saber ray shot out and shattered the void. The heads of several people of the devil religion were chopped off and rolled on the ground. Devil blood spurted out from their severed necks like fountains. Kill the bastards of the devil religion. Leave no one alive. Kill. Another living being waved his sword. A bright sword ray rose from the void and pierced through the throat of the people of the devil religion. When the sword ray dissipated, the tip of the sword flashed with cold light and pierced through the back of the head of the people of the devil religion. The living beings of the 3 continents, Kyushu, and other realms seemed to have gone mad. They charged at the people of the devil religion without any regard for their lives. Everyone's goal was the same. Kill the people of the devil religion as a sacrifice to the Rock Emperor. Blood for blood. Dongli Qingqing, Su Muxin, Ouyang Shuang, Qi Yeshi, Yi Zijin, Zishuan, Sima Muhan, and the other girls, as well as Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger Du, Dai Xinyu, and the others, had already entered the battlefield and started a bloody battle. On the battlefield, there were only 2 places that were strangely peaceful. One was around Du Xiaofu's remaining head. Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun, Fu Yibai, Jialo Jueyu, and the other 20 experts were still immersed in deep pain. Xiaofu. Don't worry, we are still here for you. Du Tingxuan's lips trembled as he gently put Du Xiaofu's head into his Qianquan bag. Then, he stood up and shook the thunder dragon spear in his hand, letting out an earth-shattering dragon roar. The demonic god is dead, and none of the 8 demonic emperors can escape. I want all the bastards of the devil religion to pay for my father's life. Little Xingxing's dress fluttered, and the mark between her eyebrows gave off a strange glow. Layers of murderous intent burst out from her eyes. I won't let any of the bastards of the devil religion go. Du Xiaoyao clenched her fists, and her eyes were red as she stared at the demonic god's majestic body on the ground. There, the 8 demonic emperors and the others were also gathered around, their hearts were in turmoil, and grief was spreading. Sensing the killing intent of Du Tingxian, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and the others, the great demonic emperor slowly turned his face and looked at them. What a good Du Xiaofu, what a good little bastard. The second demonic emperor spoke in a stupefied manner. Looking at the demonic god's body on the ground, he couldn't help but gnash his teeth in anger. Du Xiaofu's death is not regrettable, but everyone in this world must be buried with the Lord demonic god. The fourth demonic emperor said hatefully, almost going crazy. The Lord demonic god is no longer here. Can our devil religion still fight? At this moment, the ninth demonic emperor's weak voice sounded, as if he was in despair. And it was this sentence that attracted the great demonic emperor, the second demonic emperor, the fourth demonic emperor, the fifth demonic emperor, and the others to glare at him furiously. In particular, the great demonic emperor's grey eyes were fixed on the ninth demonic emperor, as if the god of death was staring at him. A terrifying murderous intent burst out, and the ninth demonic emperor couldn't help but take a few steps back. Then, he tripped and fell on his butt in panic. It's impossible. The Lord demonic god is immortal. How could Du Xiaofu kill him? The eighth demonic emperor murmured with a look of disbelief. As soon as he finished speaking, the rest of the demonic emperors fell into silence. They didn't believe that the Lord demonic god would really die, just like the living beings in the three continents, Kyushu, and other realms didn't believe that Du Xiaofu would die. But now, everything seemed to have become a foregone conclusion. No matter how many doubts, puzzlement, anger, and unwillingness they had in their hearts, they had no choice but to accept reality and recognize the current situation. No matter what, even if we can't kill everyone in this world, we must make them pay the heaviest price. Let's start with the desolate country. Even if we die, we must uproot the forces in the desolate country and make them disappear from this world, leaving no trace behind. The great demonic emperor said in a gloomy and hoarse voice, his eyes full of hatred. That's right. After the desolate country, we will wipe out all the forces related to Du Xiaofu and make them disappear from this world. Even if our devil religion is defeated in the end, so what? After thousands of years, who will still remember them? Who will still remember the desolate country? Who will still remember Du Xiaofu? The second demonic emperor punched out fiercely, creating a black hole in the void. Kiki. That's how it should be. Even if Du Xiaofu dies, he won't be able to get his final piece. Wipe out the desolate country and let him be forgotten in the long river of time. Let him lament in the underworld and know that everything he has done today was not worth it. The fourth demonic emperor laughed sinisterly. It seemed that just thinking about that scene made him feel endless pleasure. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a light voice refuted him. I don't know how the brains of the people in the devil religion work. They are indeed different from ordinary people. The usually cold and taciturn Qiangu Yu stepped forward and spoke softly at this time. His white robe was already soaked in blood. His hair hung messily behind his back, dripping with blood. His usual elegant demeanor was nowhere to be seen at this time. However, his eyes were still bright and sharp, with a frightening majesty. Do you think that the Rock Emperor perished together with the demon god for the sake of his reputation? Ridiculous. Qiangu Yu said calmly. As he spoke, he walked toward the 8 demonic emperors. With every step he took, the aura on his body grew rapidly, climbing to an extremely terrifying level. Why waste time talking to them? Let's kill them first. Du Xiaoyao snorted coldly. His body shot forward and the red-bone horse monkey's body instantly appeared. Boundless golden light burst out, causing the void to tremble. Kiki. You've come at the right time. The destruction of the desolate country will start with the few of you. The second demonic emperor laughed coldly and moved quickly toward Qiangu Yu, Du Xiaoyao, and the others. Kill. Little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaolin, and the others shouted at the same time. The killing intent that they had accumulated for a long time gushed out crazily. In the blink of an eye, they collided with the 8 demonic emperors of the devil religion. A terrifying battle began again. East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, North Addict, Central Divinity, and Little Xingxing each fought fiercely with a demonic emperor. Du Tingxian, Jialo Jueyu, Chen Qingchen, and the other half-step heavenly saints joined forces and tightly tied down 2 demonic emperors. 14 half-step heavenly saints, 14 heavenly saints, and 1 demonic emperor, 28 top powerhouses, engaged in the most intense battle. One terrifying divine ability after another was unleashed, shattering the boundless void. Mountains collapsed one after another, pieces of the earth cracked open, and rivers of blood were blasted dry. Kiki! How dare you, a mere half-step heavenly saint, fight with me? Even if there are 7 of you, you can't escape from me. You'll all die. You'll all die. The 8 demonic emperors shouted fiercely. In the end, they were almost roaring. Their faces were distorted, containing endless hatred. Kill! Du Tingxian, Jialo Jueyu, and the others did not waste any more time. Everyone attacked with all their strength. A series of terrifying attacks rained down, trapping the 8 demon emperors within. Such a battle was extremely terrifying, and heaven and earth were boiling. Meanwhile, in other places of the 3 continents and Kyushu realm, the fierce battle was still going on. Kill! Kill! Countless creatures roared in anger. Their emotions were aroused. Even if they had to risk their lives, they would kill all the people of the devil religion. Crazy, they've all gone crazy. These people have gone crazy, all of them have gone crazy. They're all so fearless. How can we fight them? Some people of the devil religion panicked, and fear rose in their hearts. Even Lord Demonic God is dead. Does our devil religion still have a chance of winning? Even if we can win, we still won't be able to survive in the end. Yeah, even if all the creatures in this realm are dead, without Lord Demonic God, once the experts from other realms come en masse, how are we going to fight back? Even supreme experts like the Lord of the 3000 Sectors worlds and the Dragon God are probably still paying attention to this realm. It's over. The devil religion is finished. Fear spread rapidly, and all the people of the devil religion had the intention to retreat. They were not afraid of fighting with the creatures in this realm, but they could not see any hope. Without the demonic god leading them, even if they killed all the creatures in this realm, what could they do? In the end, as long as the experts from other realms came, they could easily kill everyone of the devil religion. Supreme experts like the Lord of the 3000 Sectors worlds and the Dragon God probably did not even need to make a move. Even if the 8 demonic emperors were still around, without the demonic god, could the devil religion still be called a devil religion? Run! After the panic, there was a huge collapse. The creatures in this realm were enraged by Du Xiaofu's death, but they were different. With the demonic god dead, all the devil religion experts were only left with fear. Chapter 2661. Run, quickly run. With the first person taking the lead, countless people from the devil religion retreated. They abandoned their opponents and fled into the distance. As long as he could preserve his life at this time, no matter where he hid and struggled at death's door, it would be better than dying without a burial ground on the battlefield. The devil religion no longer had any hope, and no one wanted to waste their lives. Soon, the devil religion began to suffer a huge defeat. Everyone was panicking like stray dogs, fleeing without caring about their tails. However, the beings from the 3 continents, Kyushu, and other realms had accumulated a bellyful of hatred. How could they allow them to escape so easily? Kill. Eliminate the devil religion. Blood for blood. Avenge the Rock Emperor. Kill. Use the blood of the devil religion as a sacrifice to the Rock Emperor's soul in heaven. Avenge all the martyrs who died in battle. Kill. Devil religion's people. Kill without mercy. The beings were roaring, roaring, and charging. The dense crowd whizzed across the sky and the ground, relentlessly pursuing the remnants of the devil religion. The other party's morale had long been lost. If they didn't kill them now, when would they? The entire battlefield situation in this realm underwent a huge change at this moment. The intense battle between the two sides had turned into a one-sided pursuit. The devil religion continued to flee, and the beings pursued them relentlessly. The massacre continued. Bastards! A bunch of bastards! The 8 demon emperors, who were fighting with little Xingxing, Fuibai, and the others, couldn't help but be furious when they sensed this scene. Damn things, get back here! The second demon emperor roared angrily, and boundless viciousness burst forth. However, no matter how he roared, he couldn't stop the devil religion from fleeing on a large scale. The situation had already deteriorated. The few demon emperors knew very well that the demon god, who was the pillar of the devil religion, was dead. Not to mention the weaker devil religion members, even some of the 8 demon emperors had already started to panic. Let's retreat too. These people don't want to live anymore. We can't kill them in a short time. The 9 demon emperor unleashed a wave of demonic qi from his palm, forcing Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaolin, and the others back. He said in a trembling voice, instead of fighting here, why don't we retreat and recuperate? When our demon cult grows stronger, we can go and destroy the desolate country. As the 9 demon emperor spoke, he kept glancing at the great demon emperor, the second demon emperor, and the others as if he was looking forward to something. Needless to say, as long as one of them showed any intention of retreating, the 9 demon emperor would definitely abandon his opponent, turned, and run. Bastard! The second demon emperor cursed in a low voice. If not for Fu Yibai holding him back, he probably wouldn't have been able to resist rushing forward and giving the 9 demon emperor a big slap. Other than the second demon emperor, the other demon emperors did not respond. They all coldly accepted the challenge. In fact, they were also constantly scheming in their hearts. Currently, little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, Du Xiaoyao, and the others were not at an absolute disadvantage in the battle. In fact, the 9 demon emperor had even started to shrink back. Under the joint attack of Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaolin, and the others, he was faintly suppressed by the 7 half-step heavenly saints. Under such circumstances, even the great demon emperor had great doubts. Could the 8 demon emperors really uproot the desolate country with just them? With little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and the other 5 heavenly saints, as well as 14 half-step heavenly saints including Du Yunlong, Du Xiaohuang, and Jialo Jiuyu, they wouldn't be able to gain much of an advantage in a short period of time. Moreover, the army of the devil religion was already on the verge of defeat. Once the battle outside ended, many experts would finally be able to free themselves and pose a considerable threat to the 8 demon emperors. Thinking of this, the great demon emperor, second demon emperor, fourth demon emperor, fifth demon emperor, and the rest of the 7 demon emperors, although they felt indignant at the cowardice of the 9 demon emperor, could not help but silently feel the same way. Under this situation, Du Tingxian and the others swore to take revenge for Du Xiaofu. Their morale soared like a rainbow, and their hearts were filled with killing intent. Every one of them unleashed their frightening cultivation, and closed in on the 8 demon emperors step by step. It seemed like they were going all out. 8 demon emperors, this emperor will not let a single one of you go. This emperor will use your lives as a sacrifice to my father. Little Xingxing said fiercely, and his dragon body spread out his wings to kill. Flames spread out, and soul attacks were launched, colliding with the great demon emperor. Even if I die, none of you can think of escaping today. Kill! Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body moved across the sky, and golden light filled the sky with unparalleled penetrative power. A massive palm pierced through the sky, shaking the void, and rapidly pressed down on the 8 demon emperors. Such a huge battle was incomparably terrifying, and the entire world was boiling. The violent energy was like a tsunami, crushing everything in its path. The surrounding void was annihilated, and the ground cracked. The cracks extended, and rocks flew into the sky. Not far away from the battle, the demon god's massive body was still lying on the ground, and there were no signs of movement. "Boss, the devil religion has lost. We should retreat first. After our devil religion recuperates, with the strength of the 8 of us, we can secretly take revenge on the desolate country. We will make them suffer even more unbearable losses." The second demon emperor punched a black hole in the void, forcing Fui Bai to retreat slightly. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to the great demon emperor, fourth demon emperor, and the rest. "Second brother is right. There won't be any results if we continue to fight today. Why don't we slowly settle this score in the future? We don't believe that they will stay together all the time. When they are alone, the 8 of us can attack together. Even if they are heavenly saints, we can kill them one by one." The fourth demon emperor agreed, also supporting the second demon emperor's suggestion. The great demon emperor didn't say anything, and continued to fight with little Xingxing. However, his eyes were deep, and he was clearly in deep thought, weighing the pros and cons. He understood that the second demon emperor and fourth demon emperor's words were reasonable. With little Xingxing, Fui Bai, and the rest here, neither side could do anything to the other. If they retreated temporarily, when these experts were alone, the 8 demon emperors would attack together, and none of the 6 heavenly saints that were related to the desolate country would be able to escape. Moreover, the devil religion was in the dark, and it was much more convenient for them to act. The desolate country and the forces that were on good terms with the desolate country would be wiped out one by one, and it would be much easier than dealing with them all at once. However, the great demon emperor also wanted it. With the talents of Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaolin, Du Xiaohuang, Du Yunlong, and Du Xiaojing, it wouldn't take too long for them to break through to the heavenly saint realm. If by any chance they broke through, they would face even more trouble when they acted. Speaking of which, the demon god was already dead, and if the 9 great families and other forces sent experts to descend, the situation would change greatly. Therefore, in this place today, whether to retreat or not, there were both pros and cons. For a moment, the great demon emperor couldn't make a decision. But no matter what, the devil religion's decline was a foregone conclusion, and no one could change anything. Retreating for a while might be the best choice. "Let's go." After the great demon emperor pondered for a long time, he finally spat out a word in a gloomy voice. His scaly claws slapped out a ball of black light, containing a terrifying and peerless energy, and forced little Xingxing away. Following that, her petite body twisted in the void, and in a flash, she was thousands of miles away. "Let's go." When the other demon emperors saw this, they also moved, and all of them quickly forced their opponents to retreat and escape. Among them, the 9 demon emperors had already broken free from the blockade of Du Xiaojing, Du Xiaolin, and the rest the moment the great demon emperor moved, and quickly escaped. "Where do you think you're going?" Little Xingxing and the rest roared, and wanted to give chase. Du Xiaofu's death had caused everyone's emotions to be incomparably heavy. If they couldn't kill at least 1 or 2 demon emperors today, they would not rest. However, with the strength of the 8 demon emperors, if they really wanted to leave, little Xingxing, Fui Bai, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and the rest wouldn't be able to stop them. A total of 28 top powerhouses flashed, and they quickly shuttled through the heavens and the earth. However, just as they moved, a strange fluctuation suddenly spread throughout the entire space of this realm. Buzz, this fluctuation was extremely weak, and it carried a trace of life aura, but it was even weaker than the aura of an ant. It was this sliver of life force that emitted a faint ripple, but at this moment, it caused all the living beings in the 3 continents, 9 provinces, and 1 world to feel an inexplicable sense of horror at the same time. Everyone's body suddenly trembled, and they felt a great fear deep in their souls. What's going on? Why do I have such a terrifying feeling? So it's not only me, but you guys also felt it. Where did this commotion come from? It's too strange. It suddenly makes my hair stand on end. I feel the aura of death. It's as if the king of hell has descended. How terrifying. An evil aura, a vicious aura, a baleful aura, a bloody aura. What a complicated aura. Why is there such an aura? Who has descended? Many powerhouses began to discuss. Under the aura that permeated the space, they couldn't help but tremble. The living beings in the Kyushu realm of the three continents stopped their pursuit of the devil religion. They all looked around in panic, trying to find the source of this strange fluctuation. However, no matter how they searched, they couldn't find the source. This strange and treacherous energy filled every inch of space, and it clearly fell into the senses of all living beings. However, it seemed to have no source, and they couldn't find the source at all. This aura is so powerful, but it makes me feel very comfortable. If I can continue to bathe in this aura, my cultivation will definitely rise very quickly. No matter where it comes from, there's one thing I can be sure of. It's definitely someone from the devil religion. The people from the devil religion also stopped fleeing. They raised their heads slightly and closed their eyes, enjoying themselves. They all realized that in this strange fluctuation, their bodies felt indescribably comfortable. An evil aura, a vicious aura, a baleful aura, and a bloody aura. These auras were exactly what the people from the devil religion needed to cultivate. What's happening? Little Xingxing, Fuibai, Du Xiaoyao, Jialo Jueyu, Jin Qingchun, and the 8 great devil emperors also stopped. They didn't continue their pursuit or escape. With regards to this sudden change, everyone felt that something unusual was about to happen. It was as if something unexpected was about to happen. Under the senses of many heavenly sages and half-step heavenly sages, the fluctuation became even more intense. Although it was just an insignificant trace of aura, it still made Du Xiaoyao, Jin Qingchun, and the rest tremble in fear. Countless experts carefully sensed the aura, wanting to catch a trace of it so that they could follow the vine to the melon and find the true source. Buzz, just as all the living beings were seriously searching, another wave of energy rippled out, spreading out in the void. Swoosh, this time, the great devil emperor, Little Xingxing, and the rest of the heavenly sages turned their heads and looked in the same direction at the same time. In their line of sight, there was an incomparably huge body lying horizontally on the ground. However, even though it was lying horizontally on the ground, the body looked like an endless mountain range. Its muscles were like mountain peaks, rising and falling. Demonic God. The pupils of Little Xingxing, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, and the others constricted abruptly, and all of their faces pulled extremely long while their expressions were extremely heavy. At this time, it was not difficult for them to realize that the strange fluctuation was coming from the demonic god's body. Waves of evil aura spread out in the void, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Such a strange scene made Fuibai, Jin Qingchun, and the rest turn solemn. Could it be? Little Xingxing moved quickly and rushed directly toward the demonic god's huge head. Let's go. After the great devil emperor called out to the other 7 devil emperors, he did not delay and disappeared from his spot. The 7 devil emperors, Fuibai, and the rest did not dare to hesitate. They all rushed out quickly, and with their terrifying cultivation, they disappeared from their spots in the blink of an eye. Everyone wanted to go and take a look to see what was going on there. Demonic God. The fluctuation is coming from the demonic god's body. How could this be? Wasn't the demonic god killed by the Rock Emperor? The demonic god's primordial spirit has been destroyed, and there hasn't been any movement for so long. How could this happen all of a sudden? Could it be? Could it be that the demonic god is not dead? Many living beings began to discuss loudly. Many experts did not understand what was going on. In the end, a trembling voice sounded. Even his lips were trembling as he spoke. The content of his words made all the living beings in the vicinity feel their hair stand on end. The demonic god is not dead. They clearly saw that the demonic god's primordial spirit had been burned to ashes by the powerful law of lightning origin under Du Xiaofu's all-out attack. As for the towering demonic body, it also fell from the sky and heavily smashed into the hard ground of the mountains and rivers. If the demonic god was still alive, it would be a huge disaster for all living beings. To the people of the devil religion, the existence of the demonic god was like a religion. As long as he was alive, the devil religion had the absolute strength to continue fighting. Now that the Rock Emperor had fallen, no one was a match for the demonic god. Could it be that this realm could not escape the fate of being reduced to a devil's realm? While many living beings were trembling in fear, they also silently prayed that the demonic god would not come back from the dead. In the distance, on the demonic god's head, the crack that was blasted open by Du Xiaofu's thunderbolt was still there. At this moment, a dim light smaller than a grain of rice was gently flickering in the demonic god's brain. Buzz, another wave of evil energy rippled out. However, this time, it was much stronger than the previous two waves. In the demonic god's head, the dim light that was the size of a grain of rice suddenly emitted a bright blood-black radiance and rapidly expanded. In the blink of an eye, it had become 1,000,000 times larger, turning into an even more vast ball of light. Subsequently, a terrifying might swiftly rose in the heavens and the earth. It was as if an ancient and terrifying fiend had arrived in the world, and it carried an extremely terrifying and evil aura. It caused countless people to fall limply to the ground and tremble on their knees. Huff, 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 the mysterious power between heaven and earth began to go berserk. In the various battlefields, the boundless smell of blood rose and condensed together, turning into blood-colored ribbons that rapidly converged towards the demonic god from all directions. In the demonic god's head, the blood-black ball of light spun non-stop like a bottomless black hole, not rejecting anything that came and devoured all the blood mist. Then, the evil and murderous aura floating in the air became thicker and thicker. He's actually not dead. Kill. Little Xingxing's body appeared from the void and landed beside the cracked head of the demonic god. His gaze landed on the blood-black ball of light, and his cold brows could not help but furrow together. There was no need for further thought. After little Xingxing arrived, he directly waved his hand, and a ball of terrifying flame shot out, ruthlessly crashing towards the demonic god's essence soul. Scram! In the next instant, a sharp claw covered in scales reached out from the void and brazenly grabbed at the ball of flames. A tremendous force burst forth and shattered it. Chi chi chi, the terrifying ball of flames exploded, and flames splattered everywhere like a rain of fire. At the same time, the great demonic emperor's arm was also forced back. Bright flames burned on the back of his hand, emitting sizzling sounds as green smoke rose in spirals. Billowing demonic chi frantically circulated before it extinguished the flames on the back of his hand. As expected of the demonic god, possessing an indestructible body. Even after being destroyed by the laws of origin, he still managed to leave behind a trace of his essence soul, reigniting it from the ashes. Following the arrival of little Xingxing and the great demonic emperor, Fu Yibai also arrived. Without any hesitation, he raised his hand and shot out a ray of light that condensed into a sharp sword, attacking the ball of light in the demonic god's head. Chapter 2662. Get out of here. The second demon emperor shouted. Then, he punched the sword with his fist, which shook the sword violently. Then, the sword exploded with a sound of chi. He's not dead. Kill. East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, and North Addict followed closely behind. They roared and attacked the skull of the demonic god. However, the fourth demon emperor, the fifth demon emperor, the sixth demon emperor, the seventh demon emperor, the eighth demon emperor, and the ninth demon emperor appeared from the void one after another. They blocked the attacks of the few people as if they were not afraid of death. The demonic god was not dead. The remaining trace of his primordial spirit had revived. Everyone knew what this meant. For little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, and the others, Du Xiaofu had risked his life to defeat the demonic god and perish together with him. If Du Xiaofu allowed him to come back to life at this time, then everything Du Xiaofu had done would have been meaningless. The great calamity of the devil religion would sweep over again and destroy the whole Kyushu realm of the 3 continents. Taking advantage of the fact that the demonic god had just revived and was extremely weak, with the strength of the heavenly sage realm experts, it might not be difficult for them to destroy the energy that he had just gathered. Therefore, they attacked without hesitation, intending to kill the demonic god in the end. However, the 8 great demon emperors had naturally seen through their thoughts, and they'd long since chased after them and blocked their attacks. For the 8 demon emperors, if the demonic god was not dead, then everything would usher in the greatest turning point. The decline of the devil religion would be swept away and turned into a cardiac stimulant that would be injected into the bodies of all the people of the devil religion. Du Xiaofu was dead. Once the demonic god was resurrected, the devil religion would be the final victor. Even if the Lord of the 3,000 sectors and the dragon god were here, there was no room for change. Therefore, no matter what, they could not stand by and watch little Xingxing and the others pose a threat to the demonic god. Kill! Little Xingxing shouted sternly, and his dragon body pounced ferociously again and again. She wanted to kill the demonic god in the end, but the great demonic emperor seized the opportunity to attack her repeatedly, causing the dragon scales on her body to crack and blood to flow. Lord Demon God has an indestructible body. You're all dead for sure this time. The second demon emperor said in a loud voice. He unleashed all of his ferocious power and blocked all of Fu Yibai's attacks. At the same time, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and the others also arrived. The 14 half-step heavenly saint stage powerhouses had joined forces to resist the 8 demon emperors and 9 demon emperors. However, with the 2 heavenly saint stage demon emperors obstructing them with their lives, none of them had the chance to attack the demon god. At this time, the 9 demon emperor, who had originally wanted to retreat, swept away his previous weakness and fought with all his might to stop the 7 half-step heavenly saints. In an instant, another terrifying battle broke out in the area near the demon god. Terrifying attacks were launched one after another. Shattered energy storms swept out in all directions and shook the heavens and the earth. However, all of these attacks did not cause much of a stir when they swept across the ball of blood-black light in the demon god's brain cavity. Oh no, the demon god is really going to revive. What should we do now? The Rock Emperor has fallen. No one is a match for the demon god anymore. Once the demon god revives, who can resist him? The devil religion still has 8 heavenly saint stage demon emperors. The purple dragon emperor and the others are also powerless. Is the great calamity really unstoppable? Is the fate of this realm supposed to be like this? In the tricontinent Kyushu realm, many powerhouses could not help but mutter to themselves, their hearts abnormally heavy. No one had expected that the demon god, whom the Rock Emperor had tried his best to kill, would show signs of reviving at this time. All of this was a clear indication that this realm could only be reduced to a demon realm in the end. Unless the Rock Emperor was like the demon god and could be revived. However, everyone knew in their hearts that this was simply impossible. They were afraid that there would be no more miracles like before. Keek. Lord Demon God is not dead. God bless the devil religion. Since Lord Demon God has revived, then what reason do we have to retreat? Let the massacre continue. Keek. Everyone has to die. This time, there won't be any more accidents. Du Xiaofu is dead. I want to see who can stop the devil religion from ruling this realm. Let's kill, kill, the people of the devil sect were all excited and agitated. They also did not expect that the demon god would show signs of reviving all of a sudden. This made all the powerhouses of the devil religion cheer. This was the biggest surprise, and nothing could be more exciting than this news. Originally, that scene of utter defeat was quickly adjusted. Many powerhouses of the devil religion held weapons in their hands and kept shouting. They changed directions and charged toward the living beings of the Sanlu Kyushu realm. The affairs of the world were so mysterious. Everything that had happened today was so strange and bizarre. The two sides that were chasing and being chased had switched roles because of the news that the demon god was not dead. The prey had become the hunter, and the hunter had become the prey. Kakik. Let's kill. Countless powerhouses of the devil religion laughed sinisterly. With devil swords in their hands, they began a fierce battle. Large groups of people rushed into the battlefield again, no longer afraid of retreating. We can't kill the demon god, but can't we kill you all? I don't believe that everyone in the devil religion has an immortal body like the demon god. Someone in the crowd of the Sanlu Kyushu realm shouted loudly. After the initial despair, everyone gradually regained their senses. No matter what, the great calamity was still going on. There was absolutely no reason for the devil religion to do as they pleased. The great rock emperor had fallen for the sake of this realm, but they could not resign themselves to death. Even if they could not kill the demon god, it would be good to kill a few more powerhouses of the devil religion. For the people of the world, for the continuation of the bloodline, for the final home of this realm, the rock emperor could disregard his life and kill the demon god. What's there to be afraid of with our lowly lives? It's fine to give it up. Killing one is enough, killing two is a big gain. So what if the demon god is resurrected? If your devil religion wants to occupy this realm, you'll have to step over our dead bodies. As long as there's still one person alive in this realm, the devil religion will not have a true victory. Kill. Eliminate the scum of the devil religion. Kill. Countless living beings roared, and the swords in their hands burned hot again. Many figures moved, fighting fiercely with the people of the devil religion on the ground and in the sky. Fierce battles broke out once again. Every moment, there were people dying. Among these people, there were people of the devil religion, and there were also powerhouses of the three continents and Kyushu realm. Countless living beings danced and collided with each other in the sky like locusts flying in the sky. Bodies exploded one after another as they fell from the sky. Blood splattered everywhere. Such a fierce battle had happened many times, and everyone was used to it. As long as they still had a breath left, they vowed to fight to the death with the other party. In the distance, Little Xingxing, Zhenqing Chun, Jialo Jueyu, and the others continued to fight fiercely with the 8 demon emperors. At this time, East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, North Addict, and the others no longer cared about their own lives. They only wanted to break through the blockade of the demon emperors and attack the demon god to destroy his revived primordial spirit. However, they did not get the chance to do so when the 8 demon emperors fought with all their strength. Everyone was anxious, but there was nothing they could do. As the battle continued in the distance, the blood of countless living beings dyed the sky red. The evil aura gathered even faster and was constantly absorbed by the ball of light in the demon god's brain cavity, causing it to grow stronger and stronger. At a certain moment, the entire space seemed to have frozen. The air stopped flowing, and everyone found it difficult to breathe. Including Little Xingxing, Fui Bai, and the 8 demon emperors, everyone's movements became abnormally sluggish. All of a sudden, another wave of violent energy rippled out. Boom, a huge roar was produced, and a powerful invisible impact was produced. The space was like the calm surface of a lake, but it was as if a huge rock was suddenly thrown into it. Circle after circle of fierce ripples appeared. There were a total of 28 heavenly saints and half-step heavenly saints present, and all of them were hit by the powerful ripples in an instant. One by one, they were swept into the sky like fallen leaves in the autumn wind, fluttering between heaven and earth uncontrollably. Along with the birth of the invisible ripples, the overflowing evil aura spread wildly. A blood-colored storm swept in all directions, darkening the entire world. He. I am undying. Du Xiaofu, how can you possibly kill me? An extremely loud voice rang out, causing every corner of the 3 continents, 9 continents, and 1 world to hear it clearly. Boom! Amidst the blood that filled the sky, a towering figure slowly stood up. It stood between the heavens and the earth like a giant. I've said it before. You will be the one to die in the end. Even Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian couldn't do anything to me. How dare a puny Du Xiaofu like you risk your life and try to take me down with you? What a joke! He. The demon god laughed loudly and was indescribably carefree. The demon god has revived. In the distance, little Xingxing, Fuibai, and the others had escaped from the violent blood-colored storm. They stood in the void in a daze, watching this scene in a daze. Their hearts were abnormally heavy. The demon god had revived and stood up. Now, even if they could break through the seal of the 8 demon emperors, they probably wouldn't have the ability to kill him. Thinking of the situation they would face next, everyone couldn't help but feel suffocated. Du Xiaofu, you are already dead, but I am still alive. No one can stop my rise, and no one can suppress the slaughter of the devil religion. The demonic god stood between heaven and earth, roaring and screaming. All the bloody and evil chi in this world surged wildly and was all absorbed into his body. As the god-fiend spoke, he lifted his gigantic face and looked up at the sky. His gaze seemed to pass through the boundless red clouds to an unknown place where he saw the figures of some people. Lu Xiaoyu, Long Xian, back then, you had the help of the heavenly Tao to suppress me. But this time, the person you chose is already dead. And I am still standing here. With this world, I won't be afraid of you anymore. One day, I will find you and return everything that you have done to me to you. I will hunt you down until there is no road to heaven and no door to hell. I will let you die without a burial place. Only then can I vent the hatred in my heart. The demon god roared loudly as if he was hoarse. Because of his agitation, his pair of demonic palms kept waving in the void, stirring up the space and causing it to collapse. The scene was horrifying. His shouts, word by word, resounded in every place in this world. All the living beings heard these words, and all of them felt their hearts tremble. The demon god has revived. He has really revived. Sigh. If only the Rock Emperor could also revive. Only he can fight with the demon god. If he is revived, then so be it. Since it has become an established fact, it is useless for us to be afraid. That's right. In the end, it is just a battle. At most, we will die. Many powerhouses from the 3 continents and Kyushu realm looked up at the sky and muttered to themselves. Since this was fate, they had no other choice. The demon god had revived. In this great calamity, no one would be able to escape unscathed. Instead of being afraid and thinking about how to protect their own lives, it would be more appropriate to kill a few more people from the devil religion. At this moment, all the powerhouses seemed to have come to terms with it. They no longer cared about the demon god's strength. The Rock Emperor had already fallen. No one was his match. However, even if they were to die under the devil religion's blade, they had to die beautifully. At the very least, they had to be worth it. Many people from the devil religion felt this and laughed sinisterly. However, they did not say anything. With the god-fiend leading the way, all they had to do was to focus on slaughtering. The demon god and the 8 demon kings would worry about the rest. Even those heavenly saints and half-step heavenly saints would not be able to escape with their lives. Today, after so many twists and turns, the demonic sect was still the final victor. Senior, what should we do? Little Xingxing asked Fu Yibai as the mark between his brows emitted a demonic light. Sigh. There's no other way. Who would have thought that the kid would not be able to kill the demon god even after sacrificing his life and burning his origin laws? In the end, the demon god was revived. Fu Weibai's sloppy face was filled with sorrow as he sighed. If the Lord of the 3,000 great worlds and the dragon god were to descend now, they might be able to kill the demon god. After all, Xiaofu had used up all his strength and almost killed the demon god. At this time, the demon god had just revived. Although we are unable to defeat him, if there are powerhouses who have surpassed the heavenly saint realm, there is still a high chance of killing him. Even if we can't kill him, we can easily seal him. Dong Xian said. Her beautiful face was also filled with indescribable sorrow. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, Zhen Qingchen, Du Xiaojing, and the others fell silent when they heard this. In this world, there was no one like Du Xiaofu who could achieve the complete law of lightning by fusing with the spiritual lightning formed by the ancestors of the Du family. From there, he could surpass the heavenly saint realm and fight with the demon god. It was not realistic to expect powerhouses like the Lord of the 3,000 great worlds and the dragon god to descend. On their side, there were 6 heavenly saints. Not to mention whether or not they could defeat the demon god, just the presence of the 8 demon emperors was enough for them to prepare for battle. No matter what, I will not sit still and wait for death. I can't let my boss die in vain. Du Xiaoyao stepped forward and looked at the demon god, his eyes shining with golden light. Uncle Little Demon is right. No matter what, we still have to fight. Victory or defeat, success or failure, we have to give it a try. Little Xingxing shouted. Then, his body suddenly soared into the sky and charged toward the demon god. As he charged forward, his dragon body spread out. His dragon scales glowed with a cold light and shone with an awe-inspiring luster. That pair of wings flapped in the void, fanning out torrential flames, burning the void until it collapsed piece by piece. Since we can't escape death anyway, let's kill. Little Demon Du moved after him. With a roar from his throat, it shook the heavens and the earth to rumble. The huge redbone horseap's body coiled up and strode forward. At the same time, he waved his huge palm and slammed it toward the demon god. Kill! Fu Weibai, Zhen Qingchen, Du Yunlong, Jialo Jueyu, and the others also stepped forward. Although they did not have high hopes for this battle, just as Du Xiaoyao and Little Xingxing had said, no matter the outcome, they had to give it a try. They could not let Du Xiaofu die for nothing. Kiki. You're courting death. Seeing Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao's actions, the first Devil Emperor, second Devil Emperor, fourth Devil Emperor, and the rest of the 8 Devil Emperors sneered. One by one, they soared into the sky and intercepted Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao before they could even approach the Archdevil God. With your little strength, you can't behave so atrociously in front of Lord Demon God. Second Demon Emperor also shouted, his body flashed out and he fought with Fu Weibai in a head-on battle. Then, the Heavenly Saints and Half-Step Heavenly Saints were entangled in another area. A new round of fierce battle broke out between dozens of people. Everyone in the devil religion, listen up. Everyone in this world must die. Leave no one alive. High in the sky, the demon god's majestic voice drifted out and resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The universe rumbled and trembled. As the boundless smell of blood filled the air, his aura continued to rise. Although he was far from his initial peak state, he was still more and more frightening. Lord Demon God has ordered to kill without mercy. Kill, not only the 8 demon emperors, but the experts of the devil religion were also boiling. Everyone was risking their lives and fighting to the death. Chapter 2663. Resounding battle cries rose and fell one after another. It was extremely tragic. The experts of the devil religion were in high spirits as they let out impassioned roars one after another. As for the beings of the three continents and Kyushu realm, they were all fighting with their lives on the line. With the demon god's sudden resurrection, the calamity could no longer be stopped. No one could escape unscathed. With the existence of the demon god, no one could escape the flames of war. They could only be dragged into the bloody quagmire of death. Therefore, what they needed to do next was not to think of ways to protect their own lives, but to kill as many people of the devil religion as possible. Only by doing so would they not die in such a cowardly manner. They would not simply become a tonic for the devil religion to increase their strength. They would not be completely worthless. Kill, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Jialo Jueyu, Chen Qingchun, and the others roared crazily as they fought against the 8 demon emperors with all their strength. At this time, everyone was covered in terrifying injuries. Their bodies were damaged, and their primordial spirits were injured. Especially Du Xiaojing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaolin, and the rest of the 14 half-step heavenly saints. Even if they joined forces against the 8 and 9 demon emperors, they gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. They could only parry and had no power to counterattack. Although the 8 demon emperors had all suffered injuries of varying degrees, the demon god had been resurrected. They no longer had any scruples. They fought with all their might, wanting to finish off their opponents as soon as possible. As long as these 20 top experts died, the situation of this realm would be settled. Lord Demon God would not need to do anything. Under the leadership of the 8 demon emperors, the devil religion would be able to sweep through the entire 3 continents and Kyushu realm. Kill. Let's end this quickly. The second demon emperor shouted. He completely ignored the sharp sword of light that Fu Yibai had condensed and stabbed into his chest. He punched out fiercely and bombarded his chest, causing his chest to collapse. He vomited blood and was sent flying. In the meantime, the 2 demon kings continued their pursuit and engaged Fu Yibai in a fierce battle. The rest of the demon emperors were the same. It was as if they were not afraid of being injured at all. They just wanted to finish off their opponents as soon as possible. A few ants are still jumping around at a time like this. In the distance, the demon god spoke. His demonic eyes, which were like black suns, swiveled and filled with a thick aura of blood and death. The boundless fiendish energy on the battlefield was constantly being absorbed by the demon god, causing its aura to grow rapidly. It was incomparably terrifying. As his strength continued to recover and increase, the aura he exuded was still far from his peak state when he fought Du Xiaofu, but it still made Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, and the others tremble inexplicably. The arm that had been torn off by Du Xiaofu had also grown back at this time. Du Xiaofu is dead. You should go to hell to accompany him. The demon god's voice resounded, reverberating between heaven and earth. His gaze turned and landed on Little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, East Deity, Du Yunlong, and the others. Then, a huge demonic palm rose into the air, and a terrifying demonic saber quickly condensed into form, glowing with a bloodthirsty scarlet light. As soon as this devil saber appeared, the rolling evil chi in the air became even more violent, rapidly converging on the saber's body. A shapeless might swept out in a vast and mighty manner, causing even space to seem to tremble and emit a wailing sound. Kill! The demon god roared and waved his demonic saber. The void was split open and a wide black crack appeared, directly enveloping Little Xingxing, Fu Yibai, East Deity, and the other heavenly saints who were fighting with the 8 demon emperors. The terrifying aura of execution surged, and as the saber light shot out, a blood-red light appeared and extended to the 6 people. At the same time, a strange energy fluctuation spread out and filled the void. In an instant, the space seemed to be frozen. Not good. The space has been sealed, I can't dodge. Fu Yibai immediately panicked and couldn't help but yell. The demon god is attacking us. How many times can we withstand his attack? East Deity tried her best to break free from this invisible restraint, but she couldn't do so. She could only watch as the demon god saber light slashed down and couldn't help but sigh. Chi La, just as the two of them were talking, the demon god's sharp saber light slashed down and attacked the 6 heavenly saints at the same time. A terrifying force burst forth in an instant, splitting their bodies apart at the same time. PFFF, a terrifying wound appeared on the chests of East Deity, West Demon, South Ru, North Addict, and Central Divinity at the same time. Their bodies were torn apart and blood rained down. They were almost cut in half. The 5 of them were sent flying like birds with broken wings. They fell from the sky and streaked across the sky, landing on the ground. Everyone's life force immediately withered, almost to the point of being drained completely. Under the attack of the violent demonic chi, both their bodies and primordial spirits were severely injured. Senior Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, and the rest exclaimed. 5 heavenly saints had actually suffered such great damage from a single blow from the demon god. Perhaps only little Xingxing could barely withstand it with the help of the huge tortoise shell. However, he was also severely injured. If the demon god attacked a few more times, the situation would be dire. Grandpa, Uncle Little Demon, retreat quickly. I'll stop the demon god. Little Xingxing spread his wings and the tortoise shell whizzed and expanded rapidly. It occupied the void and headed in the direction of the demon god. We can't leave. Du Tingxian and Du Xiaoyao laughed bitterly but didn't retreat. If retreating could save their lives, they would leave without hesitation. However, under the attack of the demon god, no matter where they ran, they couldn't avoid the fate of being killed. The 5 heavenly saints had lost more than half of their lives under the demonic god's attack and had lost the ability to continue fighting. Even if the dozen or so half-step heavenly saints were added together, they would not be able to withstand the demonic god's attack. Then again, with the 8 demon kings present, they wouldn't be allowed to leave so easily. Humph, do you think you can save your lives by relying on the item left behind by Long Xian? Seeing the tortoise shell expanding rapidly in front of him, the demon god snorted coldly and raised his demon sword again to slash it down. Boom! The demon sword landed on the tortoise shell and let out an earth-shattering roar. Terrifying sound waves spread out, as if the world had been turned upside down. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground one after another, spreading horizontally and vertically like a giant spider web covering the entire area. In the region of the 3 continents Kyushu, countless living beings and devil religion cultivators who were fighting fiercely were hit by the invisible waves in an instant. They lost their balance and almost fell. At the same time, little Xingxing's mutated dragon body was violently pushed back and spat out a large mouthful of blood. The mutated dragon's originally powerful aura had now become extremely weak. The huge tortoise shell was also smashed into the ground with a loud bang and stuck into the ground sideways. More than half of it was gone. Long Xian's daughter, I'll kill you first to teach him a lesson. One day, I'll personally find him and Lu Xiaoyu and take back everything I've done in the past. The demon god said coldly and raised his demon sword again to slash at little Xingxing's head. The blood-red demon sword's radiance shot out with a ferocious aura as if it could slash through everything. Little Xingxing had lost the protection of the tortoise shell and could no longer resist the demon god's fatal attack. He couldn't gather his beast energy at all and even the space around him was frozen. He could only watch as the blood-red demon sword grew larger and larger in his eyes and was about to hit him. Little Xingxing. Sister Xingxing. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaolin, Du Xiaohuang, and the rest shouted at the same time. Their hearts seemed to have been clenched and raised to their throats. The fear in everyone's hearts was at its peak. Everyone was in despair. The demon god had not fully recovered from the injuries he received from Du Xiaofu's desperate attack. However, he was still a demon god after all. Even if he only had 1/10 or 2/10 of his original strength, he was still absolutely terrifying. Fu Yibai and the other 4 heavenly saints were almost killed by his demon god's demon sword. With little Xingxing's heavily injured body, there was no way he could fight back. Perhaps, if this blade were to land, another top powerhouse would fall at the hands of the demon god. Little thing, die. The demon god roared with unconcealable joy in his voice. This was Long Xian's daughter. If he killed her, how heartbroken would Long Xian be? The more heartbroken Long Xian was, the happier he would be. Keek, the demon god could not help but laugh sinisterly at the thought of Long Xian's daughter's sorrowful expression. The demon sword in his hand shot out an intense bloody light that had already enveloped the body of the mutant dragon. Just one more step and the little girl's body would explode in front of him. Her soul and body would be destroyed. However, at this moment, a ferocious roar came from the heavens and earth. It was like a sudden clap of thunder that drilled into everyone's minds. Roar, dazzling golden light suddenly shot out and filled the sky, blooming in this area. The space exploded as a huge furry claw covered in golden fur reached out from the crack in the void. It was not much smaller than the demon sword in the demon god's hand. The moment the claw appeared, it grabbed the demon sword in the demon god's hand. The sound of metal clashing could be heard and a series of sparks appeared. The claw grabbed the demon sword in its hand and broke it. Bang! The demon sword was broken and turned into two pieces. One end was still in the demon god's hand. The other end was grabbed by the huge sharp claws and suddenly shot out like a bolt of lightning, piercing straight into the chest of the god fiend, giving him no time to react. Thud, thud, thud. The god fiend's incomparably majestic body was sent retreating, one after another. Deep craters were created in the ground. When the boundless golden light disappeared, a huge beast body appeared and came to little Xingxing's side, standing opposite the demon god. Taking advantage of this opportunity, little Xingxing also regained his freedom. The spatial restraints around him also disappeared. He could not help but swiftly retreat. He was still in a state of shock. Who are you? After the demon god steadied himself, his eyes narrowed and he looked at the huge beast in front of him cautiously. The huge beast's eyes were as red as cinnabar and its body was covered in scales. Its claws were curved like hooks and its teeth were exposed outside its lips. It was as cold as a blade and the smell of blood filled the air. The hair on one of its claws had been cut off and its flesh was twisted. Obviously, it had been injured by the demon sword. However, this opponent had been able to easily disperse his full force attack and save little Xingxing in the nick of time. Moreover, the demonic saber in his hand had been broken, and the broken saber had brazenly shot into his chest, causing him to be knocked back. The demon god had no choice but to treat such a terrifying opponent seriously. His strength was probably above the current him. It's you. Little Xingxing, Du Tingxian, Zhen Qingchun and the others rejoiced at this sudden turn of events, but at the same time, they were astonished. Jiangchen, what are you doing here? Du Xiaoyao stepped forward and asked in surprise. Many people in the desolate country were familiar with this strange beast's body. It was Jiangchen's golden fur hoe. How can Jiangchen be so strong? He can actually force the demon god to retreat. Du Xiaojing, Yi Piaoling and the others looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Like Du Xiaofu, they only knew Jiangchen, but they didn't know his exact origins. No one could truly see through his strength. They never would have guessed that he'd become so strong that he could fight the demon god head-on. And it was precisely because of his sudden appearance that little Xingxing had been saved from the demon god's blade, saving him from death. I owe Du Xiaofu a favor. It's time to pay it back. You all retreat for now. Leave the demon god to me. Jiangchen's enormous beast head turned and looked at Du Tingxian. His gaze seemed to pierce through the invisible barrier and into the heaven-earth pouch, where a bloodless head lay quietly. Jiangchen's beastly eyes couldn't help but reveal a faint trace of sadness. Jiangchen, are you confident? Du Xiaoyao stared at the demon god, then asked. He knew how powerful the demon god was. With an indestructible body, he was practically unkillable. Even though Jiangchen had displayed his valiant side, Du Xiaoyao still couldn't relax. After all, no matter what, Jiangchen and Du Xiaofu still had a good relationship with the desolate nation. Over the years, he'd helped Du Xiaofu many times. Retreat. The demon god will undoubtedly die today. Jiangchen suddenly waved his claws, stirring up a fierce wind that swept little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, Jialo Jueyu, and the others away. In that instant, everyone's hearts were filled with incomparable shock. With a wave of Jiangchen's claws, they didn't have the slightest room to resist. They were sent flying far away. This feeling wasn't the slightest bit inferior to when facing the demon god. What terrifying strength! He should be confident. Let's just watch from here. Du Tingxian said softly as he landed in the distance, his gaze fixed on Jiangchen's golden hoe. Not long after they landed, East Immortal, West Yao, South Ru, North Addict, and Central Divinity were sent out by Jiangchen to Du Xiaoyao and the others. When did Jiangchen's strength become so terrifying? Du Xiaoyao's eyes flashed, his heart filled with confusion. However, he didn't say anything. Instead, he quietly watched Jiangchen and the demon god in the distance. A golden hoe transformed from a zombie has actually reached such a level. How dare you interfere with my plans? Who exactly are you? The demon god's voice boomed as he stared at the enormous beast before him. The person who's going to kill you. Jiangchen replied coldly. His fur trembled, and a terrifying stench of blood swept through the air, filling the air. It was even more terrifying than the demon gods. Kill me. Even Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian couldn't do it. You think you can? The demon god sneered. He'd never seen this person before and didn't know his origins. However, the strength he displayed made the demon god absolutely fearful. Moreover, he sensed a familiar aura from his opponent. This familiar aura seemed to have some sort of mysterious connection with him, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. It made him feel both confused and inexplicably fearful. However, the demon god wasn't afraid. After all, he had an immortal body. No matter how strong his opponent was, he'd definitely end up like Du Xiaofu. In the end, the one who died wouldn't be him. It's true that others can't kill you, but I can. As soon as Jiangchen finished speaking, he didn't waste any more words. He raised his sharp claws and charged at the demon god. His two bestial arms waved through the air, his claws tearing through the air. 10 terrifying rifts appeared in the air. A sharp aura shot out, and in the blink of an eye, it was right in front of the demon god. Strength surpassing the Sky Sage realm. Du Xiaofu died before me. I don't mind killing one more. The demon god snorted coldly. Balls of dark demonic chi gathered in each of his hands, condensing into something solid. Then, he suddenly thrust his hands forward. 2 balls of demonic chi rapidly transformed into 2 incomparably enormous black demonic chi palms. They blotted out the sky and attacked Jiangchen's claws. Even at your peak, I wouldn't fear you. Besides, you've already died at Du Xiaofu's hands. You're far from recovered. You're no match for me. Jiangchen said harshly. His claws were sharp and unstoppable. They brazenly clawed at the demon god's demonic chi palms. Rip. The 2 palms were instantly torn apart. Jiangchen's claws violently twisted them, causing them to explode. They formed 2 terrifying storms of energy that swept across heaven and earth. Die! The demon god roared. He suddenly waved one of his arms. It was like a heavenly pillar, pressing down on the sky with a whistling sound. The front of his arm clenched into a fist and smashed towards Jiangchen. Roar! Jiangchen roared. His head of golden fur fluttered in the wind. He leapt into the air. At the same time, his sharp claws struck out again. He didn't dodge or evade. Instead, he met the demon god's fist head-on. Chapter 2664. Translator, H2DH2. Mr. With a loud rumble, the demon god's body was sent flying backward. The burly figure was constantly retreating like a moving mountain, emitting a terrifying tremor. As for Jiangchen's golden fur hoe, he merely retreated 2 steps before coming to a stop. Between his claws, strands of blood-black demonic chi swirled, constantly eroding his strength. After the hazy golden light burst out, all the demonic chi was instantly crushed and dissipated into nothingness. What a powerful physical body! The demon god's eyes narrowed. The back of his hand was a bloody mess, and his fingers trembled. Obviously, he'd suffered a great deal of shock from the exchange of blows. Kill! Jiangchen let out a piercing roar. Like the sound of the heavens, it pierced through one's primordial spirit and caused one's heart to tremble. His golden fur danced wildly in the wind, and his eyes glowed with a strange, ominous light. His incomparably ugly face bared its fangs, making him look incomparably malevolent. The golden fur hoe's feet shattered the void, then he twisted his body and charged at the demon god again. I'd like to see just who you are. The demon god snorted. His strength hadn't fully recovered. Although he'd been at a disadvantage in his fight with Jiangchen, he wasn't afraid. As soon as he finished speaking, he brandished his fists and charged towards Jiangchen. Their fists collided violently. The 2 terrifying sovereigns instantly engaged in a terrifying battle. Their simple fists and palms caused space to overturn, mountains and rivers to crack, and heaven and earth to tremble endlessly. Violent gales swept out in all directions, destroying everything in their path. Every living creature in this realm retreated far, far away. Nobody dared approach the battlefield for fear of being caught up in the aftermath. Even the 8 demon emperors were no exception. They'd long since fled into the distance. Faced with such terrifying might, they weren't willing to rashly face it. Where exactly did Jiangchen come from? How could he possess such terrifying strength? In the distance, Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, and the others exchanged glances. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. They were well aware of the demon god's strength. All of their sky sages and half-step sky sages combined, a total of 20 peerless experts, hadn't been able to withstand a single blow from him. And now, Jiangchen was suppressing the demon god. He had the absolute advantage. Du Xiaoyao's suspicions filled her heart. Since she'd met Jiangchen, he'd rarely appeared in front of the world. It seemed he'd been searching for his own origins. No one would have thought that at the final moment of the calamity, when the demonic sect was about to wipe out all the top experts, he would suddenly appear on the battlefield and save everyone. Does he already know where he came from? Du Xiaoyao couldn't help but guess. I'm afraid this is the only explanation. If that was true, his origins demon gods, he's, roar. In the distance, Jiangchen let out a terrifying roar, shattering the void. The golden lion's body trembled, emitting crimson smoke. It burned in the air, stirring up a terrifying, fiendish aura. After forcing the demon god back once more, Jiangchen gave chase. His iron-like claws pierced into the demon god's chest. A terrifying force burst forth, and the arm covered in golden hair suddenly pulled. Rip! A huge chunk of flesh was instantly torn off from the Fiend Celestial's body. Fiend Celestial blood flowed out like a stream. Roar! The demon god roared again and again. His injuries weren't light. His enormous face was instantly filled with intense anger. His demonic eyes glared at Jiangchen's golden lion, rippling with intense killing intent. I don't care who you are. You'll pay with your life for what you've done today. The demon god howled in anger, ignoring the wound on his chest. His 2 extremely thick thighs took a step forward and stomped on the ground, producing loud booms. Unable to restrain his anger, his hands moved quickly, once again condensing a blood-red devil saber, and he held it tightly. The blood-red demonic blade released an incomparably savage aura. The demon god raised his hands and slashed downwards, as if he wanted to split the heavens and earth. A terrifying fissure appeared in space, extending all the way to Jiangchen. Humph. If you were at your peak in the past, I might have been helpless against you. But now, you've already died once at Du Xiaofu's hands. How are you going to fight me? Jiangchen snorted coldly. However, he didn't waste any more words. Instead, he leapt into the air, brazenly charged forward, and plunged headfirst into the spatial crack. He didn't even think about dodging. Instead, he charged at the demonic blade. His sharp, curved claws crisscrossed, brazenly grabbing the demonic blade. With a bang, the demonic saber was broken into pieces again, leaving only half of it still in the hands of the demonic god. Jiangchen, on the other hand, didn't slow down in the slightest. He continued to charge towards the demon god. Die! The demon god roared. The remaining half of his blade glowed with blood-red light and slashed at Jiangchen's body. Die! Jiangchen shrieked. Before the demon god's blade could reach him, he'd already grabbed the demon god's wrists with his claws. The golden-haired Ho's body stepped on the stars as it steadily spread out in the void. Then, a monstrous force burst out from its arms as it twisted its body and swung the demon god's incomparably towering body over its shoulders, smashing it fiercely onto the ground. After a boom sound, the sky was filled with dust and dirt, and it sputtered everywhere. Another enormous crater appeared in the ground. This one was even deeper than the one the demon god had created when he fell from the sky. Jiangchen didn't stop. His body suddenly shot forward like lightning, instantly appearing on the demon god's broad chest. He raised his claws again and tore at the demon god's wounds. Rip! A huge hole appeared in the demon god's sturdy body, revealing the demon god's pulsing organs. Boundless, blood-black demonic chi gushed out, carrying with it an intense corrosive power. However, when this corrosive power landed on Jiangchen's body, it was blocked by his fur. It couldn't penetrate his body at all. Such a scene naturally fell into the eyes of everyone. Countless experts were shocked and shocked. The demon god was actually beaten up. How terrifying. Where did this person come from? How can he be so terrifying? I hope he can kill the demon god. An expert like this should have a chance. Not necessarily. The demon god has an undying body. Even the Rock Emperor couldn't truly kill him. The Rock Emperor already killed the demon god once. I'm afraid he's only 20 to 30% as strong as before. There should be hope. Many experts were discussing among themselves, and all of them felt extremely shocked. The demon god was such a terrifying existence, yet someone had actually been able to ruthlessly trample him. However, they also knew that the demon god's current strength was no longer as strong as it had been before. While these people were shocked, the 8 demon emperors couldn't help but palpitate. How can someone be so terrifying? Apart from Du Xiaofu, who else could be a match for the demon god? This person has a close relationship with Du Xiaofu, but I didn't know that he would appear at this time. If he had come earlier, with him and Du Xiaofu joining forces, Lord Devil God would be in deep trouble. The current situation isn't optimistic. The demon god has consumed too much energy and is no match for him. If this continues, who knows what will happen? What should we do? Should we lend the demon god a hand or two? Given our strength, if we rashly charge in, I'm afraid we won't be of much use other than throwing our lives away. No. We can't just stand by and watch. Nothing must happen to the demon god. After some discussion, the 8 demon emperors immediately came to a decision. The demon god was far too important to the devil religion. If anything happened to him in Jiangchen's hands, the devil religion would cease to exist. He'd barely managed to survive Du Xiaofu's mutual destruction. He absolutely couldn't allow any more mishaps to occur. Kill! The great demon emperor growled. Without the slightest hesitation, he took the lead and charged towards Jiangchen. When the other 7 demon emperors saw this, they wasted no time and followed suit. Just as they were about to move, another wave of ferocious energy rippled through the air. Immediately after, an incomparably sinister laugh rang out, landing in the ears of the 8 demon emperors. Kiki! The 8 demon emperors? This isn't a place for you to act arrogantly. As soon as the voice rang out, a boundless blood-red light erupted from the sky. After that, 2 slender figures stepped out and swiftly blocked the path of the 8 demon emperors. It's you! When the 8 demon emperors saw these 2 people, they were instantly stunned. They knew these 2 people. In their early years, they'd had many dealings with them. Apart from Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan, who else could they be? In fact, the 8 demon emperors weren't the only ones who were shocked. Many of the living beings in the distance were stunned at first, then they instantly burst into an uproar. How can it be them? How is this possible? Dongli Qihuang from the Great Luan sect and Shen Yan from the Profound Talisman sect. How did these 2 people end up together? It seems like they have a deep relationship with Jiangchen. What's going on? Wasn't Dongli Qihuang killed by the Rock Emperor back then? How is this possible? Who exactly are they? Countless experts murmured as they vied with one another for discussion. Many people knew that Dongli Qihuang had been killed by Du Xiaofu in the Great Luan sect many years ago. However, they didn't expect him to come back to life at such a time and appear on the battlefield of the devil religion's great calamity. As for Shen Yan, he'd gone missing a long time ago. No one in the Profound Talisman sect knew his whereabouts. Small fries like you aren't qualified to attack Lord Jiangchen. Massacre the universe. After Dongli Qihuang tore through the air, he coldly looked at the 8 demon emperors and said. At the same time, he raised his hands in the air with his palms facing up. Bloody murderous aura surged out. On the ground, the boundless mountain of corpses and rivers of blood suddenly trembled at this moment. An endless amount of death chi rose and rapidly gathered toward the hooded figure. Then, a bright black ball of light formed in front of him. Within it, countless malicious ghost heads appeared. The hoarse cries of Yin spirits reverberated as if they wanted to bite and devour everything. These malicious ghost heads roared ferociously as they charged towards the 8 demon emperors. This ability. The eyes of the 8 demon emperors shook at the same time. They were extremely shocked by Dongli Qihuang's ability once more. Because it wasn't difficult for them to discern that this ability was evil, strange, ferocious, and extremely similar to the devil religion. However, it seemed to be even more profound than the devil religion. You actually intend to attack Lord Jiangchen? Looks like you don't know how to write the word death. After Qi Li and Qi Huang attacked, Shen Yan attacked as well. Countless ferocious auras spiraled around him swiftly while numerous tiny talisman markings arranged themselves and enveloped his entire body. Countless talisman markings revolved according to a strange trajectory and formed the body of a ferocious ghost that was 30 kilometers tall. I'd like to see what kind of ability you 2, who are neither human nor ghost, have. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? After his initial shock, the Grand Devil Emperor swiftly calmed down and grunted coldly as he spoke to Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan. At the same time, the other 8 demon emperors moved as well. All of them pounced forward and joined forces to attack the 2 of them. Roar! The ferocious ghost that Shen Yan had transformed into had a ferocious expression as a loud roar resounded from his bloody mouth, and it shook the heavens. As he opened his mouth, surging and dense stench sprayed out, and it carried a terrifying aura that corroded everything. In the heavens and the earth, the remaining vitality of the plants in the distance that had withered in the flames of battle was completely extracted and transformed into powder that drifted down. It wasn't just that, even some comparatively weaker living beings and members of the devil religion felt the vitality within their bodies ceaselessly flowing away, and it transformed into a torrent that surged into Shen Yan's body. Shen Yan roared as he took a step forward, and the heavens and the earth trembled violently. He held a battle axe that was like a mountain in his hand, and it fluctuated with the color of blood. A terrifying and vicious aura whistled out as he chopped it down towards the demon emperors. "Who do all of you think you are? How dare all of you challenge me?" Shen Yan spoke in a grim voice as the blood-red battle axe in his hand swept out horizontally, and it directly swept towards the Grand Devil Emperor's scaly claws. Pooh! A few severed fingers fell from midair, and strands of devil blood sprayed out. Meanwhile, the battle axe's might didn't decrease in the slightest, and it slashed through the blood-red scythe in the hands of the fourth Devil Emperor. After the two blood-red rays of light collided, the blood-red scythe directly dispersed and transformed into surging devil chi, and it was completely absorbed by the battle axe. So strong! The Grand Devil Emperor and the fourth Devil Emperor retreated explosively at the same time, and their eyes revealed astonishment. However, this wasn't the only thing that was shocking. The ghost heads condensed by Dongli Chi Huang were madly pouncing and biting the second Devil Emperor, the fifth Devil Emperor, and the sixth Devil Emperor. The sharp teeth bit fiercely all over their bodies and absorbed the devil blood within them. The second Devil Emperor, the fifth Devil Emperor, and the sixth Devil Emperor screamed miserably, and every one of them continuously bombarded the ghost heads. However, there were simply too many ghost heads, and it was impossible to exterminate all of them in a short period of time. These two are too strong. I'm afraid they've also reached the peak of the Heavenly Saint stage. We can't fight them head-on, retreat quickly. The Grand Devil Emperor shouted in a deep voice, and he instantly retreated into the distance with a bloody black claw in his hand. After a long struggle, the second Devil Emperor, the fifth Devil Emperor, and the sixth Devil Emperor finally broke free from the entanglement of countless ghost heads and finally broke free. They gathered together with the other Devil Emperors, and their minds were in a battle. What's going on? Du Xiaoyao, Du Tingxian, and the others were extremely shocked when they saw this scene. For those who were extremely close to Du Xiaofu, they'd all heard Du Xiaofu talk about Dongli Chi Huang and Chen Yan. They knew that Jiangchen had rescued them from his sword. But who would have thought that when the two of them reappeared, they'd become so strong? Even when 8 Devil Emperors joined forces, they'd been defeated so miserably. Perhaps their current strength was no less than Du Xiaofu's when he hadn't been augmented by Imperial Qi and had yet to fully integrate the laws of lightning. I told you long ago, you'd undoubtedly die today. Jiangchen's voice rang out in the distance. His battle with the demon god was still ongoing. However, by this time, it was already a one-sided slaughter. The demon god's colossal body was already in tatters. Jiangchen's sharp claws tore off chunks of flesh, revealing eerie bone stubble. His internal organs were all exposed, and his chest and back were completely translucent. The demon god screamed in agony. He rolled on the ground with all his might, trying to break free from Jiangchen's grasp. However, Jiangchen's powerful iron claws fell again and again, causing his body to wither to the brink of collapse. I have an undying body. You'll never be able to kill me. The demon god roared madly, and waves of violent demonic chi burst forth from his body. However, when this demonic energy landed on Jiangchen's body, it only caused minimal damage. It was practically negligible. I told you before, no one in this world can truly kill you, but I can. Jiangchen replied coldly. He stomped one foot on the ground and the other on the demon god's chest. Then, he wrapped his arms around the demon god's head and viciously tore it apart. Rip. Just like that, the demon god's head was torn off and held in Jiangchen's hands. I'm undying. No one can kill me. The demon god continued to howl in utter madness. This time, however, Jiangchen didn't respond. Instead, the golden Ho's body shook violently, and the bloody maw on his hideous face suddenly opened wide. Roar! Suddenly, a powerful suction force erupted from Jiangchen's mouth. It was as if he could devour the heavens and the earth. All of the surrounding rocks and debris tumbled into his mouth. Even the boundless expanse of space exploded and was sucked into his mouth. Chapter 2665. Huff, huff, huff. Jiangchen's crimson eyes widened, and he opened his mouth wide. His sharp teeth pierced the air, making for an incredibly sinister sight. A terrifying suction force burst forth, forming a hurricane vortex. Everything in the world churned and howled as they were sucked into his mouth. The void distorted and exploded, as if he was about to swallow the entire world. It was incomparably terrifying. Everyone on the battlefield had long since retreated to a faraway place to watch. However, under the powerful suction force, many couldn't stand still and were constantly being pulled. Ah! No! In Jiangchen's hands, the demon god's face contorted savagely. He howled miserably, as if he'd sensed something terrifying. Dense demonic energy enveloped his head, resisting with all its might. However, as time passed, the demonic energy changed shape under the suction force of Jiangchen's mouth. In the end, it was torn apart. A ball of blood-black light was pulled out of the demon god's head. It burst forth with incomparably powerful force, trying to escape. However, as the wind howled, the ball of blood-black light was pulled toward Jiangchen's mouth. No! No! The ball of blood-black light was the demon god's primordial spirit. The demon god's blood-curdling screams rang out from within. At this moment, he finally felt intense fear. I know. I know. It's you. So it's you. How could it be you? The demon god screamed continuously, as if he'd recognized Jiangchen's true identity. His voice was filled with indescribable panic. However, Jiangchen ignored his emotions. Instead, his mouth burst forth with even more ferocious suction force. No. Ah. As the demon god's final screams came to an abrupt end, his primordial spirit was swallowed into Jiangchen's mouth. Huff, huff. Jiangchen swallowed the demon god's primordial spirit in one gulp, then closed his lips. The powerful suction force dissipated, and the howling of the storm gradually died down. Only the howling of the wind was left, howling powerlessly. Countless living beings were bewildered by this scene. They had no idea what was going on. The demon god. His primordial spirit was swallowed. Could it be that the demon god died just like that? Who is this Jiangchen? Why is he so terrifying? How could he die so easily? Many people stared at Jiangchen, flabbergasted. The golden-furred Ho hovered in the air, emanating an incomparably bloody aura. Black demonic flames burned on his body, but Jiangchen's crimson smoke suppressed them and quickly extinguished them. As the process continued, Jiangchen's aura grew stronger and stronger. However, when it reached a certain peak, there seemed to be some kind of invisible force suppressing his body and tightly restraining him, causing the aura that gushed out from him to be suppressed. Lord Demon God. In the distance, the 8 demon emperors stared at Jiangchen in shock, as if they'd been struck by lightning. They could clearly feel that the demonic god's aura was constantly weakening as it was being refined by the golden fur Ho. As time slowly passed, it finally quieted down. Not a single ripple was emitted. How could this be? How could this be? Lord Demon God is really dead. He has an indestructible body. Even experts like Lu Xiaoyu and Long Xian couldn't truly kill him. How did this person do it? The devil religion is truly finished. The 8 demon emperors spoke one after another, their hearts filled with shock. To them, the demon god was truly indestructible. Even after Du Xiaofu burned his origin laws, he still hadn't been able to kill him. Even experts like the ruler of the 3,000 universes and Long Xian could, at most, seal the demon god for eternity. They'd never be able to truly kill him. And yet, Jiangchen had done it. This was simply unbelievable. Although they still didn't want to admit it, the demon god's primordial spirit had indeed been swallowed into Jiangchen's stomach. He'd continuously refined it until it became his own power. Kiki, your Lord Demon God is dead. Next, it's your turn. Dongli Qihuang looked at the 8 demon emperors and laughed sinisterly. 8 Sky Saint staged demon emperors. The power on you must be incomparably majestic. To us, you'll be of great help. If I devour all of you, it'll definitely allow my cultivation to advance further. Shen Yan also used a cold gaze to look at the 8 demon emperors. As the two of them spoke, their figures swiftly swept out and suddenly attacked the 8 demon emperors. Oh no! Let's retreat quickly. The great demon emperor said in a panic. His petite body turned and fled into the distance. The other 7 demon emperors didn't dare to delay either. They'd all witnessed Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan's strength. It was absolutely not something the 8 of them could match. Now that the demon god's primordial spirit had been swallowed by Jiangchen and became his nourishment, the devil religion wouldn't be able to stir up any great waves anymore. If they didn't seize the opportunity to escape now, probably none of the 8 of them would be able to leave in the end. Kiki. Can you escape? When Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan saw this, how could they let them off easily? They immediately chased after them. Terrifying attacks struck out one after another, causing the 8 demon emperors to be in an extremely sorry state. However, the strengths of the 8 great devil emperors were at the heavenly saint realm as well, and they weren't much weaker than Qin Yan and the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix. So, if they really intended to flee, then it would be impossible for Qin Yan and the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix to annihilate all of them. After a round of pursuit, only the 8th Demon Emperor and the 9th Demon Emperor were intercepted. The other 6 Demon Emperors fled with all their might. Just a few worms, let's get rid of them as soon as possible. At this moment, Jiangchen's eyes narrowed as he turned around. The golden ho's feet stomped on the ground and charged out swiftly. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the 6 Demon Emperors. His sharp claws slashed out and tore numerous pitch-black marks in the air. In the end, they descended on the Great Demon Emperor, the 2nd Demon Emperor, the 4th Demon Emperor, and the others. Hiss! 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 The bodies of the 6 Demon Emperors were torn apart like ragged sacks. 6 primordial spirits charged out of their bodies and displayed swift speed once more as they charged into the distance. Your primordial spirits aren't weak. Leave them behind. Jiangchen grunted, and then he opened his mouth and sucked once more. An enormous force swept out and howled. The primordial spirits of the 6 demon emperors weren't able to resist at all, and they were instantly swallowed into Jiangchen's stomach. Waves of fluctuations emanated from Jiangchen's body, and then their primordial spirits were swiftly obliterated and transformed into the purest form of energy that was refined and absorbed by Jiangchen. At the same time, the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix and Qin Yan had annihilated the 8 and 9 Devil Emperors as well. The two of them held the primordial spirits of 2 demon emperors in their palms, and formidable force surged out and slowly refined them. Numerous shrill cries that shook the heavens and the earth resounded. They were indescribably miserable and pierced through the primordial spirits of others. However, it wasn't long before the primordial spirits in Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan's hands dimmed down, and their auras gradually vanished. That terrifying energy was all sucked dry by them and drilled into their bodies. This scene stunned the experts of the 3 continents and Kyushu. Everyone who was strong enough to witness this scene widened their eyes, disbelief written all over their faces. The demon god is dead. He killed the 8 demon emperors in an instant. How can he be so strong? Jiangchen actually devoured the demon god with an indestructible body. What's going on here? Countless people's mouths hung open as they muttered in shock. However, Jiangchen ignored their discussion. After devouring the primordial spirits of the 6 demon emperors, his body flashed with light, and he transformed into a young man about 30 years old. He was incomparably handsome. His lavender robes fluttered elegantly, outlining his slender figure. He was extraordinarily handsome. Jiangchen. In the distance, Du Xiaoyao gazed at the young man and called out softly. I have to thank Du Xiaofu. If he hadn't exhausted the demon god's energy to the limit, given his strength, even I wouldn't have been able to truly kill him. At most, we'd have fought to a standstill. Jiangchen glanced at Du Xiaoyao, then turned his gaze to Du Tingxian. He took a deep look at the Qiankuan pouch on his body. On that young and handsome face, there was a hint of sadness, but it was quickly concealed. The demon god is dead. The calamity is over. I've repaid the favor I owe you. Jiangchen's gaze pierced through the invisible barriers and landed on Du Xiaofu's remaining head in the Qiankuan pouch. After that, he flicked his sleeve lightly, and he directly carried Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan along as he instantly vanished on the spot. Du Xiaoyao wanted to say something, but as soon as the words left her mouth, they were forcefully choked back in her throat. At that moment, Jiangchen's trio had already appeared in the clouds. High up in the sky, a fierce thunderclap suddenly rang out and exploded, revealing an enormous spatial fissure that resembled the gaping maw of a demon god. Then, Jiangchen's trio dove into it and disappeared without a trace. The enormous spatial fissure quickly closed and returned to its original appearance. In the end, Du Xiaoyao didn't say anything. Although she had many questions in her heart, Jiangchen's departure had been too straightforward, without any hint of reluctance. Rumble. Suddenly, an enormous rumble resounded between heaven and earth. All of the living beings looked up and saw that the boundless red clouds in the sky had suddenly begun to disperse on a large scale. The devil religion's tribulation clouds have begun to disperse. Many experts couldn't help but exclaim at the sight of this scene. Many days ago, half of the red clouds and the other half of the bright sea of lightning had appeared between heaven and earth. It was also at that time that the curtains of the great calamity had been lifted. All living beings in this world had fallen into a bitter battle against the devil religion. With the appearance of Du Xiaofu and the demon god, the great calamity had been pushed to its most powerful state. The boundless red clouds loomed high up in the sky, like the shadow of death that followed them at all times. Now, before everyone's eyes, the red clouds that filled the sky quickly stretched out and retreated, dissipating in large swaths. What followed was the appearance of a clear, azure sky. Clouds scattered in all directions, incomparably beautiful. Is the great calamity over, just like that? The demon god is dead, the devil kings are dead as well. The great calamity is over. Really? The devil religion's calamity, its endless slaughter, is over just like that? Many experts spoke in a daze. They felt as if a lifetime had passed, as if all of this was just an illusion. It was like a dream. Ever since the first devil king escaped, ever since the demon god's primordial spirit broke through the seal, everyone knew that they were about to face the most terrifying calamity. No one could guarantee that they would survive in the end. But at this moment, all the surviving experts felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their hearts. It's over. It's finally over. The great calamity is over, the demon god is dead, the great calamity is really over. Ha ha ha. The great calamity is over. After the initial disbelief, the living beings couldn't help but burst into cheers. Everyone was excited and incomparably carefree. Some people could not help but cry bitterly, snot and tears flowing down their cheeks. While rejoicing that they had survived the calamity, many people sighed deeply. So many people died, and they won't be able to come back to life. So many experts died under the devil religion's blade, even the Rock Emperor was killed. If it weren't for the Rock Emperor, the terrifying devil religion would have wiped out this world long ago. Many people looked gloomy, and they were secretly heartbroken. The loved ones and friends of those who had died all felt a deep pain in their hearts. The devil religion has to pay the price of annihilation for all of this. Not a single person from the devil religion can be allowed to survive in this world. Suddenly, someone spoke sternly. His eyes were red as he looked at the survivors of the devil religion, who were also in shock, emitting a strong murderous intent. Kill the people of the devil religion without mercy. All of them must die, and none of them can be spared. Blood debts can only be repaid with blood. The devil religion shall disappear from this world from now on. Kill. Eliminate the devil religion, and pay with blood. Avenge the countless heroic spirits who died in battle. Kill. Use the blood of the devil religion as a sacrifice to the Rock Emperor's soul in heaven. Instantly, the entire Kyushu realm of the three continents erupted into a fierce battle again. The boundless hatred accumulated in the hearts of living beings had to be vented with the blood of the people of the devil religion. For the devil religion, the demon gods and many demon emperors were already dead, and they no longer had the strength to cause any trouble. In the face of the conquest of so many living beings, they could only flee for their lives. Kill. Countless people raised their swords and sabers as they chased after the remnants of the devil sect. Shouts of killing, the sound of weapons slicing through flesh, and the sound of explosions were heard one after another. This one-sided massacre would definitely continue for a long time. High in the sky, all the red clouds had already retreated, revealing an empty sky. On the horizon, the light of the setting sun shone, spreading over the clouds that filled the sky with a blood-red color, contrasting with the endless mountains of corpses and seas of blood in this world. Chapter 2666. Dilapidated city walls, collapsed palaces, withered ancient trees. The desolate country was the same as the other places in this world. After being baptized by the devil religion, it was filled with a sense of decay. Only a rough outline of the stone city was left in the midst of the ruins. The buildings were beyond recognition. The only place that was slightly better preserved was probably the desolate country's imperial palace. However, this kind of completeness was only relative. Most of the originally magnificent and solemn palaces had collapsed at this time, and only a few scattered places were still preserved. Among them was the Du family's ancestral house. In the horizon, the remaining light of the setting sun had dissipated. Only a dim light shone, and the entire world was hazy. Creak. There was the sound of a door being pushed open. A door in the Du family's ancestral house was gently pushed open. Du Tingxian, Han Aodong, Du Xiaojing, Du Zhenwu, Du Zhixiong, Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaohuang, and the others filed in and stood in the middle of the hall. Behind them were Dongli Qingqing, O Yangshuang, Su Muxin, Qi Yeshi, Yi Zijin, Zi Xian, Sima Muhan, Du Xiaoqing, Yi Wuming, Moron Yorua, and the others. Third uncle, will there really be a miracle if we do this? Du Xiaoman's pretty face was filled with sorrow. Her pair of dim eyes looked at Du Tingxian as she could not help but ask. I don't know either, but I want to try. Du Tingxian did not look at Du Xiaoman. He only said softly. Then, with a flip of his wrist, he took out an item from his heaven-earth bag. It was Du Xiaofu's remaining head. Father. Wu Wu, brother, Xiaofu, seeing Du Xiaofu's head being taken out, everyone behind Du Tingxian burst into tears in an instant. Especially Han Aodong, Du Xiaoba, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaolin, and the others. They immediately burst into tears as if their hearts and lungs were being torn apart. O Yangshuang, Dongli Qingqing, and the other girls were all in grief. Their tears fell like beads. Du Zhenwu, Du Zhixiong, Du Yunlong, and Zhen Qingchun were no exception. My father will definitely come back. Beside Du Tingxian, little star's large eyes were completely red. There was a sparkling light brewing within them. However, he forcefully endured it and did not cry out. Instead, he solemnly vowed. Brother will definitely come back. Do, and the others. Neen __do _. Do and do was do's do and do, let's hope there will be another miracle. Du Tingxian gazed at Du Xiaofu's face thoughtfully. On the pale, bloodless face, Du Xiaofu had closed his eyes, and the hideous look on his face was gone. His lips were even curled up a little bit, as if he had sensed the end of the catastrophe of the devil religion and was therefore overjoyed. After a long time, Du Tingxian took a deep breath and stepped forward slowly. His body also released a stream of aura that spread out in the air. In front of him, there was a stone coffin. As Du Tingxian walked forwards, under the push of his aura, the stone tiles began to creak as the lid of the stone coffin began to slowly open. Du Tingxian walked to the side of the stone coffin, held Du Xiaofu's head, and gently put it into the stone coffin. Woo, in the central room, everyone was crying even harder. They all rushed to the edge of the stone coffin and looked at the face of the young man lying inside quietly. Get out of the way. Du Tingxian said with a sigh. Hearing this, everyone still looked at Du Xiaofu reluctantly for the last time, but they all stepped aside obediently. Then, in front of their eyes, Du Tingxian stretched out his hands. With a click, the stone lid gently closed. Xiaofu. Brother. Father. Han Aodong, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaolin, and the others all sobbed. They were very sad. Although they were full of hope and hoped that Du Xiaofu would wake up again one day, they also knew that it all depended on a miracle. It was very likely that they would never see the existence of that young man again in the future. His physical body has been destroyed, and only his head is left. His primordial spirit has been burned up. Is there really a miracle? Du Tingxian looked at the tightly sealed stone coffin and could not help but sigh in his heart. In fact, not only Du Tingxian, but everyone behind him also knew this. They knew that the possibility of Du Xiaofu coming back to life was too slim. Although everyone knew this in their hearts, none of them were willing to say it out loud. No matter what, they had to leave some hope for themselves, for the Du family, for the desolate country, and for many people in this world. This stone coffin is an ancient object. It has always been placed in the Du family's ancestral hall. No one knows its exact origins, but I think it should be related to the Du family's ancestors. Let's wait and see. Who knows when Xiaofu will come back? Du Tingxian faced the crowd and forced a smile as he said this. The reason why he said this was indeed based on evidence. It was not fabricated out of thin air. When Du Xiaofu was young, Du Tingxian would often carry him into this stone coffin to sleep. It was also because of this that Du Xiaofu's rise was achieved step by step, and he was able to awaken the Du family's lightning martial vein. And this lightning martial vein was engraved by the Du family's ancestors. For it to awaken in Du Xiaofu's body, it might be closely related to this stone coffin. Therefore, Du Tingxian wanted to give it a try, hoping to obtain a miracle from this ancient stone coffin. Let's go. Let Xiaofu be alone for a while. Du Zhenwu said softly and waved his hand at the crowd. All these years, he has endured too much alone. This time, let him have a good rest. Du Zhixiong sighed softly. Under Du Zhenwu's signal, he slowly turned around and walked out of the door. That's right. Let him rest. But when he wakes up again, I'm afraid he will continue to make trouble. Yi Wuming followed closely behind Du Zhixiong and turned around. As he spoke, he couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth into a slight smile. Let him make trouble. Anyway, this world can't trap him anymore. Let him go out and make trouble. Du Zhixiong said. After saying this, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. But everyone present could hear how much sadness and grief was hidden in this laughter. Xiaoba, let's go and wait for my father's return. Little Xingxing held Du Xiaohuang and little Kailan in each hand. After calling Du Xiaoba, the four of them left together. The remnants of the devil religion in the outside world haven't been cleared up yet. I'll go and kill them first. Du Xiaoyao turned around domineeringly. In a burst of golden light, his figure directly escaped into the sky. Wait for me. Zhenqing Chun called out, and then he disappeared from where he stood. Then, Du Xiaojing, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman and the others flew out one after another and swept into the distance. Outside the house, Jialo Jueyu, Yi Piaoling, Qiangu Yu and the others also followed. Soon, the rest of the people also walked out of the Du family's ancestral hall. Suddenly, it became extremely quiet. The sun set and the moon rose. Night covered the earth. The whole stone city of the Huang country also seemed quiet. After sending Du Xiaofu into the stone coffin, most of the experts left to pursue the remnants of the devil religion. The next day, under the arrangement of Yi Wuming, the stone city became lively again. Countless figures appeared, bustling about in various places. Huge stones and thick logs were continuously moved here. The stone city entered the stage of repair after the great calamity. For cultivators, building a palace was a waste of talent. But when it was really done, the speed was astonishing. In just a few days, the entire stone city and the entire imperial palace were brand new. Palaces stood tall and the roads were paved. The layout was exactly the same as before. The stone city doesn't need to engrave arrays in the future. With the current strength of the Huang country, I'm afraid no one will dare to provoke us. Yi Wuming looked at everything familiar and muttered. The dragon veins that were broken in the war still need to be connected. No matter what, the Huang country's luck cannot be damaged. Murong Yorua said from the side. She had a slender waist and white hands. Yes, perhaps the dragon chi of the Huang country's imperial palace can have some unexpected effects. Yi Wuming tilted his head and looked at the Du family's ancestral hall. Murong Yorua softly nodded her head in agreement. She knew that the unexpected effects that old Yi was talking about was Du Xiaofu, who was placed in the stone coffin. Regardless of whether the imperial palace's dragon chi could really have an effect, they had to try. It was not a bad thing. By the way, old Yi, Baing has been found. Murong Yorua said softly as she reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. In the fierce battle a few days ago, Du Xiaofu had been worshipped by all the living beings in the world. He had attracted the most powerful imperial chi and reached the peak of the heavenly saint realm. He had used the desolate country's new seal, Baing, to fight against the demon god. But in the end, under the demon god's attack, Baing was sent flying. In the midst of the great battle, no one had the mind to search for his whereabouts. And after the great calamity ended, Du Tingxian had immediately found him. It's good that you found him. I'll go find someone to connect the dragon veins. Old Yi said as he hurriedly turned and left. With the desolate country's current strength, connecting the dragon veins was naturally not a problem. With a half-step heavenly saint expert like Zhenqing Chun, everything would be easy. After a few days, Du Xiaoyao, Jialo Jueyu, Yi Piaoling, Du Yunlong, Chang Guyu, Zhenqing Chun, and the others had all returned from outside. The demon god and several demon emperors were all dead. The devil religion was defeated like a landslide. They could only be ruthlessly slaughtered. And with the addition of many half-step heavenly saint experts, it was like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. It was difficult for the people of the devil religion to even escape. In a few days, most of the remnants of the devil religion had been killed. Only a few unsightly clowns were still hiding everywhere, struggling at death's door. However, the other forces in this world continued to wipe out the devil religion. They swore to uproot the devil religion and not let a single one of them go. After Zhenqing Chun returned, he immediately used a tyrannical method to connect the dragon veins. In an instant, the incomparably majestic imperial palace's dragon chi rolled in once again and gathered in the desolate country's imperial palace. At the same time, Baing was placed in a large hall. He floated gently and exuded a domineering and majestic aura. However, many of the desolate country's experts could see that Baing had suffered serious injuries. Under the attack of the demon god, the power that he had accumulated over many years had been greatly reduced. It would take a long time for him to reach his previous peak or even surpass it. On the 7th day after the great calamity ended, which was also the 7th day after Du Xiaofu's death, the desolate country became even more lively. Countless experts poured into the stone city and arrived at the imperial palace. Disciples of the Mahist clan are here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. Under Hu Xuanhu's lead, Mo Runan and the other survivors of the Mahist clan came to greet them. They bowed to Du Tingxian and the others who came out to greet them. Disciples of the Confucian school are here to pay respects to the witch sovereign. Meng Qianhe, Kong Sansi, and the others of the Confucian school arrived soon after. With the arrival of these two people, the space outside the stone city constantly fluctuated violently, and one figure after another walked out of it. The Phoenix clan is here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. The ancient wilderness continent's human sacred temple is here to pay respects to the human emperor. Shang State's Saiman sword sect is here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. The ancient wilderness continent's beast alliance is here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. Disciples of the profound talisman sect are here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. The great golden-winged rocks are here to pay respects to the young clan leader. The beasts of the Tianhuang continent are here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. The sacred monster hall of the monster realm is here to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. Countless experts tore through the air, but all of them appeared outside the stone city and walked into the city on foot to show their respect to the Rock Emperor. The ancient heaven sect, Seven Star Hall, Golden Spear sect, Sky Thunder Fortress, 100 Flowers Gate, Blizzard City, Sacred Flame Sect, Hahuan School, and other top factions of the three continents and Kyushu had all come to the desolate nation. In addition, many small factions had also sent experts to pay respects, causing the entire stone city to be packed. Even the massive imperial palace could not fit so many people. Those small forces, or those with weaker cultivations, all consciously went outside the imperial palace, quietly waiting for something. In the afternoon, thunder boomed in the sky, signaling the start of the ceremony. A tall altar had already been set up, standing in the center of the stone city. Offerings were piled up. Experts presided over the ceremony, chanting scriptures. Countless people knelt on the ground, their hearts filled with grief. Many of the residents of the stone city wept, remembering the Rock Emperor. Everyone knew that this was a sudden calamity for the devil religion. Without the Rock Emperor, this realm would have long since fallen and become a demonic realm. Today, there would not be so many survivors coming to the desolate nation to pay respects to the Rock Emperor. It was that young man who shouldered the greatest responsibility in this realm. In the end, he sacrificed his life to bring the demon god to the brink of death. Without him, Jiangchen might not have been able to kill the demon god. Farewell, Rock Emperor. Farewell, Rock Emperor. Deafening cries reverberated in the air above the stone city, echoing in all directions. Many creatures mourned. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.